You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbug Audio Network. Tonight's game action will resume in the next few minutes. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbug Audio Network. Tonight's game action will resume in the next few minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey inside the Ector County Coliseum for game number 2 of this two-game series, where your Mudbugs will be taking on the Odessa Jackalopes. Once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Duncan Welker. I'll be filling in for Chet Yoder this weekend, including tonight, of course. Once again, big thank you to him for letting me fill in for him this weekend. He'll be back with us next time we come to you live from George's Pond inside Hirsch Coliseum. But that is then. Tonight is tonight. And last night, let's take a look at last night real quick. Of course, the Mudbugs took a tough and tight loss to these Odessa Jackalopes by a final score of 3-2 in the overtime time frame there, with the goal for the Jackalopes coming from number 15, Jeremy Jacobs, with 4:15 left in the overtime period there. But as you'll hear in my conversation later on in the Landers Dodge Jeep Chrysler Ram and Fiat pregame show, Coach Soupy and the rest of the team does not let that faze them. That's the biggest thing I mentioned not only last night on this broadcast, but be probably mentioning it a few times later tonight. They don't let these setbacks faze them. They persist on. Let's take a look at some numbers coming into tonight's contest here. First for your Bugs. Of course, Carter McKay still leads your Bugs in points with 13 total points on the year so far. But coming up behind him is Joseph Semengo. Had 2 assists last night, and he's now with 10 points on the docket. And Evan Hoagland is in 9 so far this season. In terms of goals, of course, Carter McKay still leading the Bugs with 7 goals there. Duke Earhart just right behind him with 5 goals. And, of course, Evan Hoagland with 4 there. And in terms of goalies, of course, Tyler Hodges, save percentage is at .910, the best of this Bugs team. This Bugs 3-man goalie unit. Of course, Alexander Perrin and Micah Adams are the other 2 to follow. Now let's take a look at the Jackalopes. For the Jackalopes, the Jack Les Perals, the defenseman, leads the team in both goals and points. In terms of goals, he has 6 goals on the year so far. Jack Les Perals also has 16 points on the year so far. And in second place is the man who sunk the Mudbugs' hearts last night, gave them a trick on that Halloween night. Jeremy Jacobs. Jeremy Jacobs with 5 goals on the year so far, and of course 13 total points behind him. In terms of save percentage, Colin Davis leads the Jackalopes goaltending unit, as well as in save percentage with .9028. And of course of wins, he is with 3. Now let's take a look at the standings across the South Division. Of course, in first place with 25 points is, who else? The Lone Star Brahmas, coached by Dan Wildfong. Second place, the New Mexico Ice Wolves with 20 points there. Third, fourth, and fifth are all tied with 16, of course, respectively. El Paso's in third, Oklahoma's in fourth, and these Odessa Jackalopes are in fifth place. They're all sitting with 16 points. The Amarillo Wranglers and former Mudbugs assistant coach Michael Hill, they're sitting in sixth place with 15. Of course, your Mudbugs are in seventh place in the South Division at 14 points. They were able to gain a point from last night's unfortunate, like I mentioned, tight and tough overtime loss. And the Corpus Christi Ice Rays sit in eighth place with 12 points. When we come back on the Landers, Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, and Ram and Fiat pregame show, you'll hear my conversation with Mudbugs head coach Jason "Subi" Campbell, where I talk to him about, like I mentioned, last night's overtime loss, not letting that tight and tough loss get to him as well as the rest of the team. But also, like I mentioned, it is Halloween weekend. Granted, it is the 1st of November tonight, but still Halloween weekend. And, of course, I asked him the same questions I've asked not only my interview guests last night, of course, Brett Smith, Evan Hoagland, and Liam Wolf-Talby, but also maybe our guests I asked that question as well. So when we come back, my conversation with Jason "Subi" Campbell here on the Landers, Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram, and Fiat pregame show. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
For those that have fallen, I say get up. For those that are asleep, I say wake up. For those that are seated, I say rise. It is time. The world needs what we possess. The only hope for a dark world is the light of Jesus Christ. Let your light so shine.
Thank you for tuning in to this Word of God Ministries message.
As a business owner, you know it's important to stay ahead of your competition to succeed. One dishonest employee providing poor customer service can send your business to the penalty box. DeFata and Associates has over 20 years of investigative experience that can help you monitor your employees and investigate losses that may be keeping you from reaching your goals. Whether you need GPS tracking, investigative shopping, integrity testing, or you're experiencing losses caused by theft, DeFata and Associates can help. Give them a call at 318-635-9944 or check out their website at defatapi.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Landers, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat pregame show. Sitting here now with Mudbugs head coach Jason "Subi" Campbell. Subi, welcome in.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So it's a little bit different. You're usually sitting here with Chet Yoder. Now you're sitting here with me. A little different, but
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, of course. But we move along here. So last night, we come off a tight and tough loss to these Odessa Jackalopes, 3-2 in overtime. Jamie and Jacob able to find the back of the net. But, and I'm going to be kind of a hypocrite later on when I say this, 24-hour rule, new day, new game, we move along. But in saying that, what are some of the positives from last night that you want to take away, not only from that game, that you want to see applied to tonight?
Well, we got off to a good start. I thought our forecheck was pretty decent, at least earlier on in the game. Had some good goaltending.
Absolutely.
Power play got us one. The PK did a great job, especially when we were down like 4-on-3, 5-on-3. The one goal we gave up, I didn't like the passing lane we gave up.
Right.
The shot missed the net. It just happened to bounce out the opposite side into the crease where they got a stick on it and were able to get it in. So there were some good things there. We hit 3 more posts again last night. So we're getting chances.
Yes.
We're generating some opportunities, but we're still struggling to score on a consistent basis.
Of course,
getting over 2 goals.
And you mentioned consistency. The theme that I've seen so far, and a couple of the other guys have seen around the locker room, the theme of the year has been so far intensity, but also inconsistency. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah. So
To a degree,
I find that sometimes our intensity levels, we can be almost too intense. Like
Right.
we get into the scrum battles and we just try to work so hard that we forget to think about our positioning and maybe I don't need to be an extra man in this scrum. I need to be outside the pile, that type of stuff. Or we just get a little too aggressive on the forecheck and send more guys than we need to send in, and sometimes it can catch you.
Of course, and you mentioned trying to find guys who are trying to get out of that intense, scrum in the middle. For example, when either Tyler Hodges, for example, saves a puck and there's pushing and shoving. So you're essentially saying you want those extracurriculars kind of not fully subsided, but subsided enough to a level that can still not affect play hard.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Those scrums I don't mind because we're in protecting our goalie, protecting our teammates. But if you're going to go in there, you don't need to go in there and just take a stupid penalty by punching somebody in the face with your glove on, and now we're down a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't need to be taking penalties like that. We can easily go in and just stand in between them and our goalie and guide them away. We've I think we've shown already that we got a bunch of guys that aren't afraid to drop the gloves and aren't afraid to play a tough brand of hockey. So there's no reason for us to take penalties where we're slashing guys or tripping guys or punching guys in the face after the whistle and stuff like that. We just don't need to do it.
Of course. So essentially what you're saying is we need to know our role and make the other team shut their mouth out of the rock.
Sure.
I'm good with that. Of course, sitting here once again with Mudbugs head coach Jason Soupy Campbell. And Coach, if you don't mind me asking, who are some of the players that you saw last night of this Odessa team that especially need to be highlighted the most? One player I saw in particular was Les Perrons on the defense, and Jeremy Jackalopes, the man who would get the overtime game-winning goal, as well as their netminder, and really both netminders last night. Of course, Tyler Hodges, and of course their netminder. Names escapes me at the moment, but those three, at least for Odessa, kind of came up for me. Would you agree with that, or would you find somebody else?
Yeah, no, I think Les Perrons is their nucleus. He's a guy that's labeled as a D-man, so he looks like he's playing some D and forward and natural forward from what I can recall. But so he's plays in a big role, gets a lot of minutes, and he's a good player. So if we can try to neutralize him and Jacobs, like you mentioned, good player all around. So if we can neutralize some of those guys, then hopefully the pendulums tilts in our favor a little bit.
Of course, and that's the big thing. You always want to swing in the momentum the positive way, of course. All right, so I'm going to ask you one last question,
Sure.
And then I'll let you get going here. So it's been Halloween week. I say been because today's November the 1st. Last night was All Hallows Eve, October 31st. I've asked Coach Smitty this last night. I've asked a couple of the guys for my intermission reports. I've asked them two things. It's kind of a two-part question: favorite Halloween candy and why, and a positive or even funny Halloween memory that you have.
I would probably say I like the Canadian treats, if I can get them.
Of course,
Reese's peanut butter cups are great, but as far as the Canadian treats go, like the Smarties, the chocolate kind,
Chocolate
the
Smarties,
Aero chocolate bars, Mr. Biggs, that
Coffee Crisp.
Yeah, that everybody likes those. They're not my favorite,
Right.
but I do like them. But
Of course, you mentioned Smartie. That's a big favorite in the Welker household. My sister Annie Welker, of course, loves the Smarties. I do too, but she more than I. And as for that Halloween memory,
that's a good question. I don't know if I have a real funny one that I can remember. I just when the kids were growing up, all them. Just as a dad, it's just fun having your kids grow up and love dressing up and going out and getting all their candy. So just some good memories. We played a lot on the road too, so I missed a lot of Halloweens as well. But for the ones that I was there for, they were pretty memorable. Just watching them live it up and love it.
Dad memories, and of course, my dad can attest to that as well. And
Can you?
Yeah. And
what?
As for me, you flipped the question. So as for me, my favorite Halloween candies are, of course, anything sour, Reese's peanut butter cups, and Reese's Pieces for that matter. But also, a bit of a hot take here, candy corn.
Oh man,
I know.
my wife loves candy corn and peanuts.
Candy
Mixed
corn
together.
together? Yeah, I've heard that mix is good. And as for a memory, of course, one is just going around trick-or-treating, both in the Shreveport neighborhoods as well as the Huntsville, Alabama neighborhoods, when I was able to, of course. But one that I kind of remember, and I referenced this to Coach Smitty last night on the pregame show. It was a Halloween party around 2010, so a little bit after you'd retired. There was a Halloween party at a player's house, and there's a picture. Of course, I showed both of you guys, and he's dressed as Bert from Sesame Street, and there's me. I believe I was Cat in the Hat. So, and of course, there's some other pictures with me and Smitty, but those will get brought up at a later date, of course.
Can't wait to see those.
All right. Thanks, Soupy, for your time. Thanks, Coach, and good luck tonight.
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, not a problem. And you've been listening to the Landers, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat pregame show. We'll be back after these messages and more. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
Hey, this is Chet Yoder, voice of the Mudbugs. DeFada and Associates Investigative and Risk Analysis Services has been conducting professional private investigations for over 20 years. They offer a full range of services to both individuals and businesses. Whether you need an investigator for a personal matter like a child custody case or you suspect an internal theft problem with your business, DeFada and Associates has the experience, training, and knowledge to get you the information you need. Call Jerry today at 318-635-9944 to talk about your case or visit them online at defadapi.com.
For those that have fallen, I say get up. For those that are asleep, I say wake up. For those that are seated, I say rise. It is time. The world needs what we possess. The only hope for a dark world is the light of Jesus Christ. Let your light so shine.
Thank you for tuning in to this Word of God Ministries message.
Sterling Dental Center is a proud partner of the Shreveport Mudbugs. I'm Dr. Emil Janu, and my experienced staff and I will handle all your dental needs, from routine cleanings, x-rays, cavities, toothaches, and more, with the best and safest treatment out there. We are a family here at Sterling Dental Center, and we treat our patients like family. We welcome many forms of insurance. Come get your next dental appointment at Sterling Dental Center in Shreveport by calling 318-688-1040 or logging on to sterlingdentalshreveport.com.
You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network. Tonight's game action will resume in the next few minutes. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network. Tonight's game action will resume in the next few minutes.
Welcome back inside to the Ector County Coliseum. It's the Mudbugs, it's the Jackalopes, and it's now time for your Whataburger starting lineups. Brought to you by our friends at Whataburger. Whataburger, just like you like it. First for these Odessa Jackalopes. At the left wing, number 10, Caden G. Hossey. At center, number 15, the man who got the overtime goal last night, number 15, Jeremy Jacobs. At the right wing, number 21, Nicholas Arrington. At the left defense, number 3, Shea Berry. Number 24, at the right defense, Hunter Toms. And getting the start tonight for these Jackalopes, number 1, Colin Davis. Of course, these Jackalopes are led by their head coach, Scott Durr, and assistant coach Marquise Kjotson. And now here's the Whataburger starting lineup for your Shreveport Mudbugs. At the left wing from Manhattan Beach, California, number 12, Duke Earhart. At the center for number 15, at center from Woodlands, Texas, number 15, Jonah Chiasser. At the right wing, number 36 from Havertown, Pennsylvania, Joseph Somengo. At the left defense, number 2 from Vandalia, Ohio, Mitchell Reed. And at the right defense from Clarkston, Michigan, number 3, Evan Adams. And getting the start tonight in goal and in between the pipes, number 31 from Gormley, Ontario, Tyler Hodges. Of course, these Mudbugs are led by head coach Jason Subi Campbell. Assistant coach is Brett Smith. Honorary assistant coach is Chris Lane. The Willis Knight athletic trainer is Hunter Robinson. And, of course, your head equipment manager is Billy T. Welker. Those have been your Whataburger starting lineups presented by our friends at Whataburger. Whataburger, just like you like it. Of course, Mudbugs hockey tonight is also brought to you by our friends at Sonic Drive-In. This is how we Sonic. As well as our friends at the Louisiana Association of the Blind. The Shreveport Mudbugs love their sponsor partners, including Louisiana Association for the Blind. That's why we encourage our fans to support our partners. Did you know that Louisiana Association for the Blind produces copy paper? If your business or organization needs copy paper or other office supplies, visit lablind.com. Once again, that's lablind.com to order yours today. There's free delivery within 100 miles. And help Louisiana Association for the Blind help those with vision impairments live an independent life. Once again, visit lablind.com and order your copy paper and supplies today. Starters for the Jackalopes being announced right now. Mudbugs out on the ice, of course. Good crowd here in Odessa, Texas tonight. Little Saturday night hockey action. Of course, we thank you for tuning in on NATV and, of course, listening on the Mudbugs audio network on YouTube. Now, fans, we ask whoever you may be, we ask that you please rise and honor America. That is your national anthem. Bugs and Jackalopes coming up next. Once again, your starting netminders are Tyler Hodges and Colin Davis. Speaking of Tyler Hodges, an excellent performance from Hodges last night. Stood on his head, and that's one of the things, as mentioned in the Landers Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat pregame show that Coach Shupi mentioned, and of course I mentioned last night, was the performance of Tyler Hodges. For those of you wanting a visual description of what's going on right now, if you're not on NATV, Mudbugs are going over to their, of course, netminder, Tyler Hodges, getting in their huddle as they break it down with the word family. And that's one of the main things that Coach Soupy, Coach Smitty, pretty much everybody on this Mudbug staff preaches it's family. Which right now, in front of us, a puck drop. Puck drop between the two captains, Richards and Jasser here. But getting back to what I was saying earlier, Mudbug's team is a family, and like any family, it's ups and downs. And of course, I have no doubt that this Mudbug's family, this Mudbug's team, is going to be stronger coming out of the gate tonight. Of course, the same line as last night: Earhart, Jasser, and Semango. The top producing line for the Mudbugs last night. Earhart with 2 goals, Jasser with an assist, and Semango with 2 assists in his own right. Speaking of Earhart and Semango, for that matter, my guest in the North Caddo Express Lube first intermission is Joseph Semango, and my guest in the Sonic Drive-In second intermission show is Duke Earhart. Of course, that'll come later on. As for right now, both teams are ready. Bugs, Jackalopes. Puck drops on our way, and the Jackalopes are able to win the faceoff back. Toms sends it up the left side right to the Mudbugs bench. It bounces off the bench, gets in the feet of Evan Adams. Now Semango finds that puck. Earhart's trying to come up with it. He cannot, and it just rolls down to behind the Jackalopes zone. Jackalopes able to control zone, and that'll go down the length of the ice. No icing called there. Of course, Evan Adams now is going to take it away. Going to try to leave it for Jonah Jasser. Jasser now trying to clear it out of the Jackalopes zone. Not able to do so, but Semango's able to come up with it, and he leaves it off for Evan Adams, and he dumps it back into the Jackalopes zone. He blams it in to the Jackalopes zone, if you will. Blams it in. Moving on here now, Jackalopes able to regain control back in their own zone. Line changes for both teams, at least partial line changes for that matter. I believe Mudbugs actually got a full line change. That'll be number 3 for the Jackalopes. Shea Berry behind quarterbacking the play. Looks like the puck got tipped right at the red line. No icing there. Mudbugs able to now come up with it. Ty Easton now. Of course, they find Evan Hoagland. Hoagland now coming up the right side. Hoagland. Oh, and it gets dumped back into the zone and then shot up and into the netting. 18:52 left here in the first period. Of course, your Shreveport Mudbugs hockey is brought to you tonight, in the first period for that matter, brought to you by our friends at Advanced Air Conditioning and Heating. They offer installations, repairs, and maintenance for homes and businesses in the area. Log on to advancedac.com. That's advancedac.com. Face off to the left of Davis. Colin Davis in the net. Now Ty Easton able to come with it. Sakrisky had possession, lost it in his feet, and Jackalopes were able to pick it up. Richards, that trickles onto the net of Tyler Hodges. Some pushing and shoving in front. Ty Easton getting it into it with Brandon Catalano. Like Soupy said, in the Landers Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat pregame show, a lot of names there, but of course we love our partners there at Landers. Like you said, those kind of scrums are important to protecting the goalie, and Ty Easton definitely knows the value of that. It'll be a new line change. Willie Tremblay. Willie Tremblay will be taking the face-off for your Bugs. That'll be Percelli taking the face-off for the Jackalopes. Mudbugs able to win the face-off back there. Bounces off the feet of Lesperance. Still the Jackalopes zone. Loveland now. They're setting up Odessa, and shot just goes wide. Mudbugs now come out with it. Here comes Willie Tremblay. Loses possession. Still in the Mudbug zone. Jake Stock looking for his teammate there. That'd be number 21, Jared Griner. Desi in it. Loveland shot. Hits the glass left and wide. Now here comes the Mudbugs along with it. Griner now up our left side here. Griner shot, and it's in the pads, and it's loose. Tremblay able to get a stick on it. Gets in between two Jackalopes, and Jackalopes able to come up away with it. Loveland now. Melker Loveland sends it to his teammate up on our left side. That'll be Tyler Hodges' right. Of course, the puck will now bounce down back into the Odessa zone. Hunter Toms will come up away with it in his own zone. I think Wolf Talby missed as he was trying to defend the play, trying to get the puck back for your Bugs. Evan Adams now able to gain possession with it now. Mitchell Reed just able to leave it off there for Liam Wolf Talby. Wolf Talby leaves it for Evan Adams. Adams trying to find Simmons. I apologize, and that'll be an icing. Apologize about that, folks. Quick technical difficulty there. Jason Simmons just tipped off the stick of Jason Simmons there. Face-off will come out to the left of Tyler Hodges. Andre Parichka. Jack's able to win it. And that shot fired, and it's into the pads, and it just squirms loose. Hodges with his mask came right off, and play will stop there. Of course, Mudbugs hockey tonight is brought to you by our friends at Fireplace Specialties. Fireplace Specialties is a proud corporate partner of Mudbugs hockey. Fireplace gas logs, glass doors, wood stoves, inserts, mantle, and grills. They got it all. They're located at 8500 Box Road in Shreveport, or log on to fireplacespecialties.net. Fireplace Specialties is your fireplace headquarters. Face-off come out to the right of Hodges. Jackalopes able to win it cleanly. Shot goes wide and left of Hodges. Jackalopes still with possession in their zone. That's Pankratz. Pankratz now gets bodied on by Evan Adams. Mudbugs able to come away with it. Mitchell Reed going to quarterback the play behind his own net. Mitchell Reed, the Ohio native. Very good conversationalist, but that's not the main thing that's important here tonight. Mitchell Reed still with it. Jackalopes man loses his feet, and here come the Bugs. Duke Earhart trying to find Jonah Jasser. Light offside on the Bugs. Able to get in and out quickly. Toms now comes up with it. That's number 24. Hunter Toms able to come with it away. Bugs with it in their own zone. Earhart and a blocker save. Pad save from off of Earhart's shot there. Now Jackalopes coming up with it on the right here. Jackalopes in the Bugs zone, and it gets his pocket picked. Jackalopes still retain possession in their own shot. Fired. It's saved by Tyler Hodges. 16-16 left to go here in the first period. Once again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to Shreveport Mudbugs hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs audio network on YouTube. And somebody asked me, what is the Mudbugs audio network? It, of course, is our broadcast on YouTube. So we'd like to thank you listening wherever you may be, Arklatex and parts of U.S. and Canada around the world. Face-off will be a false start on the Jackalopes. Jeremy Jacobs getting kicked out of the zone, and in his place will be number 10, Caden Jihasi. Face-off will be to the right of Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs able to come up with that face-off win. That'll be Owen Case, and he dumps it, and it just missed the stick of Carter McKay, and that'll be a Louder's Baking Company icing. Face-off will come back out to the right of Tyler Hodges. 16:08 left here in the first year at the Ector County Coliseum in Odessa, Texas. Of course, this is game number 2 for 2-game series. Now it's going to be, once again, number 23. Evan Hoagland taking the face-off. Jackalopes able to get that face-off in, and now they're going to work. Jeremy Jacobs. Jacobs gets bodied in by Ty Easton under the boards. Mudbugs able to come away with it. That's Owen Case. Case now, he's trying to find his man. He does. He finds Ty Easton. Ty Easton going up on it. He leaves it for Sakrisky. Sakrisky tries to find somebody in front. Can't find it through, and he gets bodied down by Odessa man. Now, here come the Jackalopes up the right side. He's trying to find Thornton. Couldn't find him quite there, and Mudbugs able to. No, they are not. He's still trying to battle for possession of the puck cleanly here. Arrington's able to come away with it, and it just lands in front of Tyler Hodges. Now, Mudbugs able to gain possession. Here they come. Evan Hoagland. Hoagland shot, and it just goes to the left wide. Chase Sakrisky now trying to get his stick on and try to get possession. He's not able to do so. Jackalopes come up with it. That'll be number 21, Arrington. Will be number 21, Nicholas Arrington, able to get it. And now Lesperance. Jack Lesperance had an assist last night for the Jackalopes, and just missed staying inside the zone. But Jake Stock's able to try to get possession on it, but it gets turned over. And now Zajac, number 26, Michael Zajac, and he's getting into it with Jacob Stock, but leaves it alone. Corbin Gephardt now. He tries to pass it on to Willie Tremblay. Tremblay, and he leaves it for Stock. Stock, and it's turned back over, and it's into the Mudbug zone. Gephardt now able to come back away with it. Willie Tremblay finds it. Now he passes it up to number 21, Jared Greiner. Greiner gives it to Tremblay. Tremblay, he's in. Shot, and it's gloved away by number 1, Colin Davis. 14:30 left here in the first period. Of course, score is tied all at zeros. Goose eggs on the board. And of course, that last shot from Willie Tremblay was saved away there by Colin Davis. Mudbugs hockey tonight brought to you by our friends at Bayou Outdoors. Faceoff comes out to the right of Davis. Jackalopes able to come up with it. just able to clear the Mudbugs zone, but Jason Simmons gets on it. Simmons able to come up with it. Now Jackalopes find it back. Some quick contact there from Liam Wolf-Talby. Mudbugs able to regain it back. Wolf-Talby on the puck now. Leaves it for Evan Adams, who leaves it for Mitchell Reed. Simmons with it. Wolf-Talby gets some heavy contact. Mudbugs bench wants a call, but they're still into the Jackalope zone. Simmons able to get it, but not able to keep consistent contact into the Jackalope zone. Now, Evan Adams scrambling with McPherson. Mudbugs able to come back up away with it. Evan Adams, that's Mitchell Reed leaving off with it. He dumps it down the the Jackalopes zone. Whew. Not going on at once, but what matters is that was an icing, a Louders Baking Company icing. That'll face-off will come back down to the Mudbugs zone. Mudbugs hockey tonight is brought to you by our friends at Down Home Meats. Down Home Meats has the perfect sausage for all occasions, whether you're grilling outdoors, looking for some hearty, flavorful sausages for breakfast or anything else, preparing a gumbo platter. Down Home Meats has it all. Thank you to Down Home Meats for sponsoring tonight's Shreveport Mudbugs hockey broadcast. Face-off will come out to the left of Tyler Hodges. Looks like it'll be a false start on the. Get a hand signal here. Jackalopes. McPherson will get kicked out of the zone there. That'll be Luke McPherson get kicked out. And no, actually, he stepped right back in. It looked like he was getting kicked out, but McPherson did not get kicked out. Bugs are able to win the face-off there. Talby regains control. Talby for number 28, Andre Parichka. Simmons, he finds it and he dumps it in. Be left behind for number 1, Colin Davis. Davis now leaves it for his man. Mudbugs able to come up with a turnover. Try to find Earhart. Nothing doing there. Jonah Jasser with it. He's in front and scores! Looks like it'll be number 36. Joe Semengo with the credit and the tip in. Yes, it will. Joe Semengo with the goal. And he puts the Mudbugs up early here in the first with 13:15 left in the first period. Excellent tip in from Joe Semengo. And like I said earlier, top producing line so far this weekend of Earhart, Jasser, and Semengo. They produce another one. Beautiful tip-in goal. Now be a 1-0 Mudbugs lead with 13:15 left here in the first period. Face-off will come back out to the neutral zone. Jasser and number 15, Jeremy Jacobs, will be taking the face-off respectively. Earhart and Arlington getting into some words there. Now it's for Semengo. Semengo, he's able to muscle the puck into the Jackalope zone. Esperance gets a stick on it, tries to clear it out. Nothing doing there. Semengo tried to find it, or Semengo tried to grab it, rather. Nothing doing there. Jackalopes end, that'll be offside. Oh! Takes a few shots at Semengo. Couldn't quite get a number on that. I believe that is, if I can get a number on here. But what will matter is it'll be a penalty. And it looks like it's number 10, Caden Jihasi. He threw a punch at number 36, Joe Semengo. And Joey looks like he's fine, but be 2 minutes for, looks like for roughing. Interesting turn of events there. Semengo goes from goal scoring to getting a shot in the face from Caden Jihasi. But that's the main thing. Your Mudbugs will be on the Scott Powerline power play for the first time tonight. Faceoff will be to the right of Colin Davis. Bugs able to, the Jackalopes won the faceoff and they dump it down the zone. Hodges now trying to find a man. He does. He finds Johnny Burnt. Burnt now going to take the play behind his own net. He's going to take it himself. Looks like, of course, he'll now leave it for Duke Earhart. Earhart for Hoagland. He sent it back to Duke Earhart. McKay, shot fired just to the blocker's side of Colin Davis. McKay trying to get into it, and the Jackalopes clear it down the zone. It'll be a line change here for the Jackalopes. Mudbugs are wanting a line change here, looks like. But nothing doing there. Jackalopes able to get a quick line change. McPherson was trying to get into it, nothing there. Carter McKay now. He tries to pass back, and he's able to get it to Duke Earhart, who takes it into Jackalope zone. Earhart gets his pass deflected. Johnny Burns able to come up with it, and he leaves it off. Number 12, Duke Earhart. McKay tries to find it, and it just will trickle out of the the Jackalopes zone there. 11:50 left here in the first period, and 55 seconds left on that Jihasi penalty for looked like roughing to me. Burnt now leaving it for 21, Jared Greiner. He tries to make a move, gets a little bit of stick action there, and he does get some stick action from Thomas. Nothing doing there. Now, Somango will leave it for number 3, Evan Adams. Adams will leave it for Greiner. Greiner trying to find something, able to get around one man. Looks like that'll be Catalano. Mudbugs able to come in. Andre Parichka able to try to find stock, and that gets blocked on the way through. And Barry shoved Parichka into the Odessa netminder, number 1, Colin Davis. And Davis getting into it a little bit here with a little quick shove of the stick. Interesting stuff there. Look, to me at least, Davis thought he ran him on purpose, and it's an accidental shove into the net. But all is good for right now, at least. Might get a little chippy later on here. Face-off will come out to the left of Colin Davis. Looks like it'll be Hoagland taking the face off there. Bugs able to come up with it. 20 seconds left on that penalty. Jihasi, Scott power lane power play. Earhart finds a shot, and it's into the pads of Colin Davis. Mudbugs Hockey tonight is brought to you by our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. Thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings. And, of course, our friends at Porter's, delivering the difference for Mudbugs Hockey, locally owned and operated for over 50 years, providing floor mats, uniforms, and facility services for your company. It's our friends at Porter's. Face-off was to the right of Davis. Sakrisky finds it, shot, and it's just saved away there by Colin Davis once again. 11 seconds left to go on that Caden Jihasi penalty. 11:05 left here in the first period. Bugs 1, Jacks nothing off the goal from Joe Samango earlier on here in the period. Mudbugs will take the face-off, and that face-off will be to the right of Davis. Bugs able to come up with it. Johnny Burnt now finds it, and he gives it off for Hoagland. Hoagland, that shot gets deflected, and it bounces up off of, looks like the skate of Thornton, into the protective netting there. 5 seconds left on that penalty. Coming up later here on the first intermission show, and it's brought to you by our friends at the North Caddo Express Lube in Vivian. They offering oil changes, inspection stickers, transmission services, vehicle batteries, key fob batteries, and more. And mention the discount code MUDBUGS25 and get 10% off your service. Call 318-375-5823 for more information. Bugs come up with a face-off. Reed now shot, fired, and it bounces off the leg of Thornton, and the Jackalopes killed off this penalty. Now, Evan Adams shot, that fires, and it's tipped in. Jesser, he scores! Right after the power play expired, Jonah Jasser able to find it in the slot, wristed home, and it's 2-0 Mudbugs here with 10:46 left to go. Probably scared somebody, and rightfully so, but rightfully so. Hopefully the volume's able to be heard in one form or another. Of course, if you missed it just a few seconds ago on the YouTube side of things, Jonah Jasser just put it home to give the Bugs the 2-0 lead. Of course, that goal, we'll find out the assist later on here. Bugs able to come up with a faceoff as it bounces back to the neutral zone. Adams now leaves it for Samango. Samango now, he passes it on to Reed. Lopez Corsi, he tips it on front and it'll just bounce into the Jackalope zone. Having now takes it around his own net. Samango's able to come up with the interception. Joe Samango shot, fired, and it's into the pads of Colin Davis. Some extracurriculars after the fact. Looks like it'll be Caden Jihasi getting into it with Jonah Jasper, the Mudbugs captain. Some extracurriculars going on here in this period. And like I mentioned last night, this game is going to get intense and chippy. And I believe it was Evan Hoagland who said it. I believe it was Evan Hoagland, or it might have been my guest last week. And they said, when you're playing two games like this, it was Liam Wolf-Talby who said it. He said, when you're playing two games like this against the same opponent, it gets chippy nonetheless. But Mudbugs that face will come to the left of Davis, and Jackalopes are able to win it. Punt will bounce down for a Louder's Baking Company icing on the Jackalopes. 2-0 Mudbugs here. 10-17 gone by here 10-17 left in the first period here. Of course, now they just stopped the clock here at the Ector County Coliseum. It'll be 10-12 left in the first period. Faceoff will come back out to the right of Colin Davis. Be Parichka on the faceoff there. Mudbugs able to come with it now. Case now, he finds it, and he's in. He tries to find Parichka, and he does, and that shot gets bounced off the post. Net comes off its moorings there, and be a stoppage of play. Once again, thank you for tuning in tonight to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on, of course, NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network, broadcast on YouTube. Wherever you're tuning in tonight from, whether you're back home in the Arklatex area, whether you're in various parts of the United States, Canada, and around the world, and big shout out to Mudbugs superfan and insider Matt Nelson. Thank you for listening tonight to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey, once again here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network on YouTube. Some words being thrown by Jake Stock and, of course, I believe that is Caden G. Haase. Now Tremblay is able to get it in, and it just deflects off the stick of Toms. Toms now, he'll leave it off for his man, number 15, Jeremy Jacobs. Jacobs with the overtime winner last night, G. Haase. He finds it. He gets around one. Mudbug defender gets around two. Shot fires. They score. Caden G. Haase puts it past Tyler Hodges. That makes it 2-1. Still in favor of your Bugs here in the first period with 9:43 left to go. For what it's worth, G. Haase had a nice shot, and he was able to get it right past Cullen Davis. You know, I mentioned this last night. I'm going to mention it again for those who weren't able to tune in, but a lot of the teams here in the South Division, after goals, throw items onto the ice. And, of course, here in Odessa, they throw carrots because the jackalope, of course, is a mythical bunny-like creature, and I think that's pretty innovative. And, of course, in Shreveport, we throw plastic mud bugs, and personally, I think that's the best tradition of all. Of course, the tradition of throwing things on the ice after goals, and in any moment in particular, comes from the Detroit Red Wings. But in terms of, I think, South Division hockey, Mudbugs have it best, but I digress. Something we'll get into at some point later on. Of course, this goal coming from one Caden G. Haase. He was able to find it and just fire it right past Tyler Hodges. So that'll make it 2-1 Bugs here with 9:43 left to go in the first period. Of course, the two goals for your Bugs coming from Joseph Samango and number 15, Jonah Jasser there. Mudbugs Hockey tonight is brought to you by friends at LA Blind, the Louisiana Association for the Blind. The Shreveport Mudbugs love their partners, including the Louisiana Association for the Blind. That's why we encourage our fans to support our sponsors. If you know Louisiana Association for the Blind produces copy paper. If your business or organization needs copy paper or other office supplies, visit lablind.com to order yours today. Mudbugs able to come up with the face-off now. Jeff Hart was trying to find Bernie and got deflected off the stick of Pankratz. Oh, big shot there from a Jackalope player. The puck will go down for an icing on the Bugs. I believe that player delivered that check. Might have been number 29, the aforementioned Gabe Pankratz. Face-off will now come out to the right of Tyler Hodges. 2-1 Bugs here with 9:30 left to go in the first period. Thank you for spending your Saturday night here with us here on Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey. Face-off once again coming out to the right of Tyler Hodges. Advantage in terms of face-off goes to the Jackalopes. Richards, that shot fired. McPherson tried to find a rebound. Nothing doing there. Hoagland's able to take it away. Hoagland bounces off his skate. Carter McKay comes up with it. Sikrisky trying to battle alongside Thornton. Sikrisky gets on the inside track, but Jackalopes able to come with it. And now they come back the other way. McPherson gets past one Mudbug defender. Gets past Duke Earhart there. Geffart trying to battle it in deep. Keep it in deep, rather. Now Mudbugs come away with it. Duke Earhart now. Here he comes up the right side. He tries to get past an Odessa defender. It'd be Lamer. That'd be number 2, Austin Lamer. I think they got held there a little bit, but again, that's why I'm not a referee, folks. Duke Earhart now leaves it for Samango. Samango, his pocket gets picked. Turns it over now. Samango's able to come back with it. Reed fires it in just softly. Can fire it in softly, but goes wide nonetheless. Jackalopes able to come back up with it. Zajac, number 26, Michael Zajac. He gets able to get into the Mudbug zone. Evan Adams trying to pick his pocket and is able to get it off his stick, but not out of the Bugs zone. Now it's able to get out of the Bug zone, but Jackalopes coming back in. Thomas now. Never mind, that is an offsides call on the Jackalopes. 8:12 left here in the first period. Bugs 2, Jacks 1. Of course, birthday parties, corporate get-together, school trips, and any other functions are a great time at George's Pond. Call us at 318-636-7094. Faceoff will now come out in front of the Bugs bench. Jackalopes able to get a stick on it and just muscle it into the Bugs zone. Ethan Adams now comes up with it. And gets out of Matar. Matar, he finds it, a temporarily stoppage of play as the net of Tyler Hodges came off its moorings. Been interesting, happening a lot in this weekend series, the net coming off, whether by accident, and that does happen, or by contact, and that happens too. So, and of course, whenever that happens, the play stops. Here's your hockey lesson for the day from Duncan Welker. Faceoff now will come out to the right of Tyler Hodges. Hodges doing good on the night so far. We'll get those numbers for you here coming up in the North Cattle Express Loop first intermission. That shot was fired and wide. I believe that was off the right side of Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs able to come up with it now. Simmons. That'll be offsides. Simons. I apologize if I have gotten his name wrong the entire night. Jason Simons, number 37. And from Webster, New York, standing at 6'1", 205. Jason Simons, great hockey player and great person overall. Jason Simons. Now, faceoff will come out in front of the right-hand penalty box, at least on my side of things. I think it'll be number 23, Evan Hoagland, taking the faceoff there. It'll be number 15, Jeremy Jacobs for the Jackalopes. Jackalopes with a faceoff there to get it inside the Mudbug zone. Ty Easton now, he finds Owen Case. Case trying to get it outside. Jihasi battling with him. Jihasi, and there's a scrum in front of the boards. Jihasi now, Mudbugs able to come up with it, but not for long as the Jackalopes keep it inside their own zone. Trying to find the puck. Jacobs. Still with it. Richards, they score. Number 8, Austin Richards, able to come up with the puck after that intense scrum in front of the net of Tyler Hodges. And that'll tie things up here. 2 apiece here with 7:18 left to go in this period. Puts the backhand, like I said, backhand shot after that scrum. Sort of rugby-esque scrum, if you will, in front of the net of Tyler Hodges. That'll be a second goal. That'll be a second goal for the Jackalopes. Now we're just waiting for the picking up of the carrots, and Mudbugs going now over to their netminder Tyler Hodges to give him some words of advice. And like I said earlier, this Mudbugs team is a family. They care about each and every one of their teammates, and that's one thing in hockey is embracing your team, not just as a team and as a family. Faceoff will now come back out to the neutral zone. Like I said, this will not phase. Those 2 goals will not phase this Bugs team. They're up. They're banging their sticks on the boards here. Jackalopes are doing the same, but you have to think of the effort from the Bugs now. Face-off. It'll be Willie Tremblay on the face-off. Jackalopes able to come up with it. Richards, the goal scorer. Richards, and that was number 10. Thornton looks like he got the goal on that. I apologize. I thought Richards was able to get the stick on that. So the goal will go to number 5, Henry Thornton. And the faceoff will come out to the right of Colin Davis. Bugs able to win the faceoff. Greiner grabs at it. Bugs able to keep possession. Bounces off his own man. Jacobs was trying to fire it out of the zone, and he just now takes it himself. Bugs trying to pick the pocket of any Jackalope. Big hit from Willie Tremblay on Jacobs, on Jeremy Jacobs, and that'll be our Sterling Dental Center big hit of the game. Get your teeth checked by Dr. Emil Janu and his crew at 318-680-1040 or log on to sterlingdentalshreveport.com. Willie Tremblay with a big hit that sent the man from Odessa into the boards there. Mudbugs will just fly it in, and Colin Davis will grab it out of the air. Just grab it out of thin air as such, and Gebhardt has some words for the Odessa team there. And Reed now getting involved with number 13, Kukskowski, and so does Duke Earhart, and they're going to send Earhart up like to the box. I believe they're going to send Earhart to the box. Yes, they will. Duke Earhart will go to the box, and this Odessa crowd is enthralled with that. Of course, Earhart giving some words back. Two will get put on the board. Earhart's penalty. Two. Oh, and excuse me. Kukskowski also gets thrown in as well. It'll be a 4-on-4. Did not see Kukskowski get the signal there. Only saw Earhart, at least from my vantage point, up here in the press box. So it'll be Duke Earhart on the box for the Bugs, and number 13, Daniel Kukskowski. Faceoff will come out to the left of Colleen Davis. It'll be Joe Semango taking the faceoff for the Bugs. It'll be number 12, McPherson, and the Jackalopes able to win the faceoff there. Jackalopes now controlling it inside their own zone. That'll be number 25 for the Jackalopes, Daniel V. Havanen, able to get it inside the Jackalopes zone. Mudbugs able to now come away with it at 7. Adams, he's getting some stick action from number 29, Pankratz. Semango now comes up with it. He's trying to find somebody in front. Jesser fires away, and it's blocked, and it's pad saved away. Adams tries to fight it. It just goes high and wide. Jasser able to poke at it and slap it. Semango comes up with it inside the Odessa zone behind the net. Trying to find somebody in front. Nothing doing there. Now the Jackalopes come back out with it. That'll be number 27, Alex Thomas. He finds Lesperance. Lesperance, he fires it in. It's sticked away. Odessa rebound, and it's blocked, and it's pad saved away by Taylor Hodges. Speaking of Hodges, he'll leave it for number 5, Owen Case. Case now taking it up the right-hand corner, at least from our vantage point. Case now and gets his pocket picked, but not for long as Johnny Burnt's able to come up with it. He circles back and forth, able to find Jared Greiner. He's almost got his pocket picked. He did by these Jackalopes. That'll be Barry, number 3, Shea Barry. 40 seconds left to go on both penalties to Kukowski and number 12, Duke Earhart. 5 minutes remaining left in this first period. Bugs 2, Jacks 2. That'll be number 24, Toms. Hunter Toms up the right side, and he collides with Owen Case. Carter McKay now. He's up trying to battle in front on this right-hand corner from our vantage point. There'll be a penalty coming up. Question is, on who? Looks like it'll be on the Jackalopes. Some extracurricular from number 17, Nicholas Percelli on Carter McKay. And Mudbugs will be on a short 5-on-3 Scott Powerline power play. It'll be number 17, Nicholas Percelli, getting the gate here. 2 minutes on the board there. Of course, we'll find out the call and more coming up on the North Caddo Express Lube first intermission show in Vivian. Of course, North Caddo Express Lube is in Vivian, and they offer oil changes, inspection stickers, transmission services, vehicle batteries, key fob batteries, and more. Mention the discount code MUDBUGS25 and get 10% off on your service. Call 318-375-5823 for more information. Love that. Moving along here, faceoff will come out to the right of Colin Davis. Carter McKay will take the faceoff. Get a false start, and Edling going to get in between the linesmen. Carter McKay and McPherson taking the faceoff. Jackalopes able to win the faceoff, and they dump it outside the zone. 12 seconds remaining on the penalty to both Kukowski and Duke Earhart. Mudbugs now able back with it. Johnny Burnt leaves it for Chase Sakrisky. He's trying to find his man. He does. He finds Carter McKay fresh out of the box. It's Kukowski and Earhart. Sakrisky now with it. Sakrisky leaves it for Burnt. Gonna try to pass it back inside to Chase Sakrisky. Jackalopes able to come up with it, and they dump it down the timeline. Tyler Rogers will leave it for Johnny Burnt. Johnny Burnt will quarterback this thing behind his own net. He will take it down the ice. He's looked to and leave it off for Duke Earhart now, who passes it up to Evan Hoagland. Hoagland now going to take it in. Earhart trying to find it. Hoagland back up with it. Burnt, shot, fired. It just goes off the glove of Colin Davis. And that puck will bounce outside of the Jackalope zone and go down the length of the ice. Johnny Burnt now coming up with it. Line changes for both teams here. Johnny Burnt now going to take it himself up the front here. Burnt now. Burnt leaves it off for his man. That's number 36, Joe Semango, first goal scorer of the night for the Bugs. Stock now. He's trying to find somebody, and he gets pinned against the boards from Arrington. Arrington with a little bit of action after the fact. And Lesperance's shot gets blocked away by Tyler Hodges. 33 seconds left to go on the Penalty to Odessa. That'll be Nicholas Percelli's penalty. Evan Adams will come up with it in the Bug zone. Adams up on the right. He leaves it off for Jared Griner. 19 seconds left to go on that penalty. Scott Powerline power play for the Bugs. Evan Adams, he's trying to find somebody, and he does. He finds Joe Samango. He gets past one man. Pancratz. Mudbugs trying to find it. Griner trying to find Stock. Nothing doing there. Jasser, 5 seconds left on that penalty. The Jackalopes and the Scott Powerline power play. Samango trying to find Stock. He gets blocked in front. Odessa now, and now Percelli fresh out of the box. Comes Percelli, and he just lazily shoots it into the blocker of Tyler Hodges. Now Mudbugs going to take it away. Looks like going to be number 16, Jake Stock, and he leaves it off for Evan Adams. Adams now going to take it himself and pass it up to number 25, Liam Wolf-Tulby. He gets tied up. Andre Perichka now able to come up with it. Perichka, he shots and fires into the equipment of Colin Davis. 2:14 left here in the first. Bugs 2, Jackalopes 2. Goals coming from, of course, for your Bugs. Number 36, Joe Samango. Number 15, Jonah Jasper. Like I mentioned, top producing line so far this weekend here in Odessa. Of course, we'll get those numbers to you and more coming up just here in a bit in 2:14. Face-off will be to the left of Colin Davis. Bugs able to come up with a face-off. Simons crunches Richards into the boards. Odessa now. Thomas able to keep it inside. Comes away with it. Odessa, and they come away with it, but now here come the Bugs. Simons gets pushing and gets a push there off the puck. Richards comes up with it. Wolf-Tulby trying to keep it in the live in the Jackalope zone, and nothing doing there. Zajac now comes with it the left side, and it'll be would have been a offside call, but the Jackalopes were able to keep that from happening. But Bugs now. Reed sends it to Owen Case. Case dumps it in, and looked like it got off the tip of Evan Hoagland's stick. Able to do there. Now Melker Loveland trying to find it. Gets intercepted by Chase Sakrisky, and his pocket gets picked. And now up comes L'Esperance up the right side. L'Esperance's shot looked like trying to find somebody. It went wide. Johnny Burnt, he's going to try to clear it out of the zone for the Bugs. Jackalopes able to keep it in. L'Esperance tries to fire it on net somehow, and it gets to the feet of Johnny Burnt. Burnt now trying to find a Mudbug, and he just does. 1 minute remaining here in Odessa. Bugs now. Carter McKay coming up in the right-hand corner, and he gets bodied on by Jackalope. Jackalopes now able to just get it, and that's Matar. McKay comes up with it, and he gets bodied once again. L'Esperance now with it behind his own net. 40 seconds remaining. Hoagland intercepts it at the line. Shot fired just off the post. Looked off the left post of Colin Davis. Mudbugs trying to stay on it, and the puck just gets slapped off the glass. Reed now, he blams it back in, lazily blams it back in. You can do that. And Jackalopes, and they'll fire it down the length of the ice. Looks like McPherson trying to be out the icing. He does not, and that'll be an icing on the Jackalopes with 17:78 seconds here. Luckily, their scoreboard has seconds here, and for a sicko nerd like me, I love that, but also is a great timing of seconds. That also matters in sports. Many examples of seconds mattering. 17:78 left here in the first period. Bugs 2, Jacks 2. We'll get those numbers to you of how we got to that first intermission coming up next in 17.78 seconds. Jasser will take the face-off against McPherson to the right of Colin Davis. Bugs able to win the face-off. Samango leaves it for Adams. Adams back to Samango. He's trying to get inside. 10 seconds remaining on the clock here. Earhart try to get it on, but not able to do so. Reed now keeps it in the zone for the Bugs. Now here come the Jacks up the left-hand side. I'll be number 29, Pancratz. Not enough time. A late hit from Jonah Jasser onto Pancratz, and they're getting some words thrown both each other's way. That'll end things here in the first period. Like I mentioned, Bugs 2, Jacks 2. Get those numbers to you coming up right now. Like I mentioned, Bugs 2 and Jacks 2. Goals, of course, for the Bugs coming from Joseph Samango and Jonah Jasser, number 15, Jonah Jasser. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get those numbers to you. And the start of the first intermission, parody by our friends at the North Caddo Express Loop in Vivian. They offer oil changes, inspection stickers, transmission services, and vehicle batteries, as well as keep fob batteries. Mention the discount code Mudbugs25 and get 10% off on your service. Call the number 318-375-5823 for more information. We'll be back after these messages and more. Here, you're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
Sterling Dental Center is a proud partner of the Shreveport Mudbugs. I'm Dr. Emil Janu, and my experienced staff and I will handle all your dental needs, from routine cleanings, x-rays, cavities, toothaches, and more, with the best and safest treatment out there. We are a family here at Sterling Dental Center, and we treat our patients like family. We welcome many forms of insurance. Come get your next dental appointment at Sterling Dental Center in Shreveport by calling 318-688-1040 or logging on to sterlingdentalshreveport.com.
As a business owner, you know it's important to stay ahead of your competition to succeed. One dishonest employee providing poor customer service can send your business to the penalty box. DeFata and Associates has over 20 years of investigative experience that can help you monitor your employees and investigate losses that may be keeping you from reaching your goals. Whether you need GPS tracking, investigative shopping, integrity testing, or you're experiencing losses caused by theft, DeFata and Associates can help. Give them a call at 318-635-9944 or check out their website at defatapi.com for more information.
Welcome back inside the Ector County Coliseum. First intermission right now. The North Caddo Express Lube intermission starts now. Here are those numbers I promised you from the first period. Mudbugs 2, Jacks 2. Of course, those goals coming from Joe Samango and Jonah Jasser. And let's get those assists for you. On the first goal from Samango, coming from Jonah Jasser and Duke Earhard. And then Jasser's goal coming from Lopez Corsi, Gabriel Lopez Corsi, and Evan Adams. Of course, that first goal coming with 13-10 in the first, and Jasser's coming at 10:46. But the Jackalopes were able to find a response. At 9:43, Caden G. Haase found his goal, and then Henry Thornton did as well. Of course, penalties on the night so far here. Roughing minor. Right now, the game sheet does not list who it was. Then moving forward here, Caden G. Haase got a roughing minor as well. Earhard got a roughing minor as at 6:27, and then Kukskowski followed with him as well, and that led to a 4-on-4. And then Nicholas Percelli at 4:42 with a roughing minor. Pretty much all roughing minors going forward here in the first period. Of course, the shots on goal total right now is a little bit not able to get the accurate numbers. Of course, once we get those accurate numbers to you, we will report them to you. Of course, if you're following along on NorthAmericanHockeyLeague.com, NAHL.com, the shots say, oh, they are getting fixed right now as we speak. That's the beauty of live stat keeping, folks. Of course, once we get those numbers in full to you, we'll get them to you back at home. But coming up right now, my conversation with Joe Samango scored that first goal for the Bugs. Coming up next, and coming up right now, I should add, on the North Caddo Express Lube first intermission. Joe, you're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
Welcome back to the North Caddo Express Lube first intermission show. I'm Duncan Welker, now sitting here with Mudbugs forward number 36, Joe Samango. Joe, welcome in.
Thank you, Duncan. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. So last night, both you and Duke Earhart had the most impact on the game. Of course, you being the primary assist on both of Duke Earhart's goals, both coming in the first and second period. That game would unfortunately end in a tight and tough overtime loss to the Odessa Jackalopes. But it's a new day, it's a new game, 24-hour rule, that's what I like to say. So coming into tonight's contest against these Jackalopes, that's the one thing that both coaches have kind of said for you guys to keep on. That makes sense.
Yeah, we just got to kind of find our consistency. I think we had a really good start to the game, sort of a rough second period. So I think if we can put together a full 60-minute effort, we'll be totally fine.
Yeah, so So like I've mentioned to coaches and like I've mentioned to other players, and they've mentioned it as well, kind of back to me, the theme seems to be both intensity but also inconsistency. Would you agree with that kind of?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, consistency's a huge part of our game that we need to find. So hopefully we can find it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned last night, you were the primary assist on both of Earhart's goals. Of course, that first one coming in 16 minutes in the first, and second one coming late in the second on the power play. What's one of them? Let's talk about that second goal. You were able to find Duke Earhart right in front, and he was able to backhand it right past the Odessa netminder. That's the prettiest way you think to score a goal, just finding it right there, finding a man right in front of the slot. And
yeah, I mean, it was a great goal. I kind of stretched at the far blue line, caught the pass, and I knew if I could get it past this defender, Duke was going to score. So I just had to get it by him.
All right. So, like I said, this Jackalopes team, and Smitty mentioned it last night on the Landers Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram and Fiat pregame show. He mentioned that this Odessa team is very fast moving, and when I mean fast moving, they move the puck very quick. And I was able to notice that, and of course, in the third period primarily, there was a bit of stretch of time when we weren't able to get it out of their zone. Is that something that they also preach to you guys to try to kind of hinder, just try to kind of stop them in their tracks a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we got to, get the puck deep and get on them hard on the forecheck, and I felt like times we were doing that yesterday. They were turning the puck over, and they're one of the more unstructured teams in our league, I feel like, so that's something we got to capitalize on.
Right. So you got to basically structure the unstructured,
exactly.
If that makes sense. Sitting here with Mudbugs for number 36, Joe Semenga. Now, Joe, I talked with you yesterday, actually. You know several guys on this Odessa team. Remind me of the guys that you are familiar with on this Odessa team.
Yeah, so I grew up playing with and against Henry Thornton and Jeremy Jacobs. They're both really good guys. I get to work out with them in the summer, so it's really cool to see them now.
Speaking of Jacobs, unfortunately, he was the overtime hero for the Jackalopes at 4:15 of last night's game. But we're going to move alongside from that. We're going to focus back on to you. So, Joe, you're from Pennsylvania. I still want to say Westchester, but that's not right.
Havertown, Pennsylvania.
Havertown.
I just didn't want to take.
From Havertown, Pennsylvania, and of course you have the Flyers skate guards there. I always notice all the time. We gotta get you some new ones. Gotta get you some new ones now. Okay. So, Joe, growing up in Havertown, of course, and I'm sure Chet Yoder asked you this a couple weeks back, but just to remind the audience, what's it like growing up in Pennsylvania and Havertown, for that matter, versus coming down here to the south and playing Mudbugs hockey?
Yeah, it's great. I love it up there. It's a lot different than down south for sure. I mean, I'm right near the city, so it's kind of more traffic, hustle and bustle, city life. But other than that, I mean, it's a good hockey community. It's not that similar to Shreveport, but it's a smaller hockey community.
Yeah. So a small niche kind of hockey community, or well, maybe not niche, because I mean, you guys are. I mean, how far is that? Remind me, how far is Havertown from Philadelphia?
5 to 10 minutes from the city.
Yeah, so it would kind of be like being outside of Dallas, essentially.
Yep.
If that makes sense. But we move along here. So, remind me, coming down here to Shreveport, who has been your billet family, and how have they been?
Yeah, I've been with Casey and Dave Mercado. I mean, they've been awesome.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, they're great. They really support me a lot, and they're awesome to talk to. Just really nice people all around.
Billet, I'm about to say, any billet brothers?
No.
No billet brothers?
Yep.
All right. We got a lone billet man in the Mercado house.
Yes,
I'm sure Casey and Dave appreciate that, because they're long years of Mudbug billetship, of course. So, Joe, what is the weirdest nickname you've ever been called? Now, obviously, I've heard Mango, I've heard Joey, and I've come up with this on my own, Joey Mango, but what's the weirdest one you've ever been called that you can recall off the top of your head?
I don't know. A lot of guys, a couple of years ago, a team I was on, they called me Schmo, like Joe Schmo.
Schmo, really? Yeah. Okay.
So I got that one for a little bit, but mostly Mango.
Okay, so mostly Mango. All right, that's good to know. All right, so Mango, it is it was Halloween weekend. Of course, now it's the 1st of November, but I'm still going to ask you this just because, I want to keep it consistent. What, if any, Halloween memories do you have? It's a two-parter question. What Halloween memories do you have, good ones or even funny ones, and what is your favorite Halloween candy and why?
Well, for Halloween candy, I'm going to have to go with the Twix.
Twix?
It's a good one.
Left or right Twix? No, I'm kidding.
Left or right. Halloween memories. I don't know. I can't really think of one in particular, but I know around my neighborhood we have a really good Halloween tradition. Everyone's out. It's a lot of people on the road, so it's a lot of fun.
All right. All right. So basically just kind of going out into the neighborhood and basically just, even when you were younger, possibly trick-or-treating?
Of course, yeah.
All right. So it's good to know that you like Twix. And like I said, left or right Twix, but I think they've kind of stopped that. Yeah, moving along here. So you are a Flyers fan?
Yep, of course.
Okay. I didn't want to make that assumption. Now, then again, you have the skate guards, but I digress. So Flyers fan, is there an all-time Flyer of yours?
I mean, there's so many, but a recent guy that I like is Travis Konechny. I kind of see a lot of myself in his game, so he's a guy I like to watch a lot.
I was about to say, you try to model yourself after Konechny, kind of?
Yeah, certainly, of course.
Okay. I was about to say, what's your opinion on the Penguins?
Oh.
The less said about that, the better?
Yeah, less said the better. I hate to say it, but I like Crosby. He's just so good.
Oh, yeah.
He's legendary.
Of
so
course.
It's tough to hate him.
Of course, the other night's game against the Penguins, against your Flyers, that was an interesting game.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, the less said about that from my perspective, the better. Joe, I'm going to ask you one last thing. I'm going to let you get going here. So, who are you looking forward to facing the rest of the way in the South Division? Obviously, we've seen Odessa. We're seeing them tonight. We've seen Corpus. We've seen New Mexico. We've seen Amarillo. Who are you looking forward to facing the rest of the way, the rest of the year here in the South Division? Is it a team we've already seen, or is it a team we haven't seen yet?
It's a team we haven't seen. I would say Lone Star. They're at the top of the division. They're one of our biggest rivals, so I'm really excited for that series.
And of course, always going to punch upwards, if that makes sense.
Of course.
All right, Joe, thank you for joining me here on the North Caddo Express Loop First Intermission Show. Always good to talk to you, buddy. Hoping for a big recovery from last night. Of course, into tonight's contest, puck drop 6:15. Looking forward to the game.
I am, yes. Thank you, Duncan. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. And we'll be back with more after these messages in the North Caddo Express Loop First Intermission Show. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
For those that have fallen, I say get up. For those that are asleep, I say wake up. For those that are seated, I say rise. It is time. The world needs what we possess. The only hope for a dark world is the light of Jesus Christ. Let your light so shine.
Thank you for tuning in to this Word of God Ministries message.
As a business owner, you know it's important to stay ahead of your competition to succeed. One dishonest employee providing poor customer service can send your business to the penalty box. DeFata and Associates has over 20 years of investigative experience that can help you monitor your employees and investigate losses that may be keeping you from reaching your goals. Whether you need GPS tracking, investigative shopping, integrity testing, or you're experiencing losses caused by theft, DeFata and Associates can help. Give them a call at 318-635-9944 or check out their website at defatapi.com for more information.
Welcome back inside the Ector County Coliseum here in Odessa, Texas, where it's 2-2 between your Mudbugs and the Jackalopes. And now it is time for a brief Shreveport Regional Airport scoreboard update. And join me as we fly around the world of sports. Firstly, let's take a look at the North American Hockey League action going on tonight. Of course, we're going to start with our friends in the South Division. Some games just getting now underway. The New Mexico Ice Wolves and Oklahoma Warriors and the El Paso Rhinos and the Amarillo Wranglers. We'll check back in on them next period. Some games in the rest of the league that are going on right now. The New Hampshire Mountain Kings with 4:05 left in the third period. They lead the Elmira Aviators by a score of 3-2. The Johnstown Tomahawks and Maine Nordiques, they're all tied up at 0. The Philadelphia Rebels, they lead the Rochester Junior Americans by a score of 2-1. The Springfield Junior Blues, they lead the Wisconsin Wendigo at the end of the first period there by a score of 1-0. The North Iowa Bulls, they lead the Minnesota Mallards 2-1 at the end of the first. The St. Cloud Norsemen and Minot Minotauros, they are all tied up at 0 with 2:35 left in the first. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the sporting world, of course, starting with NHL action here on this Saturday night. The Stars are tied with the Panthers. That'd be the Dallas Stars. The Sabres of Buffalo, they lead the Washington Capitals 3-2. The Montreal Canadiens, they lead the Ottawa Senators by a score of 2-0 in the first intermission there. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they lead the They are tied with the Philadelphia Flyers by a score of 1-1. Hopefully you can pull that out for one Joey Samango. The St. Louis Blues are tied 1-1 with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Minnesota Wild are leading their game against the Vancouver Canucks. Still some games left in the NHL. The New Jersey Devils and the LA Kings, one favorite of Duke Earhart. And then the Chicago Blackhawks take on the Edmonton Oilers at 9 o'clock. The Rangers take on the Kraken at 9 o'clock there. And some games going final earlier in the day. The San Jose Sharks, they defeated the Colorado Avalanche by a score of 3-2. The Nashville Predators, they defeated the Calgary Flames by a score of 4-2. The Boston Bruins defeated the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 2-1. And the Winnipeg Jets, they defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 5-2. Now let's move on to college football action, top 25 college football action. Of course, LSU is on their bye week this week. For those wanting to know that information back home in the Arklets-X. But some games that are going on right now. Ole Miss, they lead South Carolina 10-7. Purdue, they are currently tied with Michigan, a score of 7-7. Georgia Tech, they're also tied with North Carolina State, NC State, 7-7 there. Tennessee, they lead Oklahoma 7-0. There, moving along here, Nebraska, they lead USC 7-0. Some games still on the docket in the top 25. Cincinnati, the Bearcats, they had college game day earlier today. That game did. Cincinnati, that game is coming up at 9:15. And some games going final today. Virginia, the Cavaliers, they defeated Cal, the Golden Bears 31-21. Georgia, they just barely pulled it off against Florida, the Gators, by a score of 24-20. Moving along, the Red Raiders of Texas Tech, they defeated the Kansas State Wildcats by a final score of 43-20. The Hoosiers of Indiana, number 2, Indiana, they defeated the Terrapins of Maryland by a score of 55-10. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, number 12 ranked, they defeated Boston College by a score of 25-10. And Louisville, the Cardinals, they defeated Virginia Tech 28-16. Of course, coming up later tonight in the sporting world, all eyes are on game number 7. Of course, right now going on some warm-ups. Game is going to come up shortly here. The series is tied up at 3 apiece between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. But that is going to be a fun one there. Teams getting ready to come back out on the ice. The Jackalopes and the Mudbugs, of course, in their respective entryway points. The Mudbugs, of course, to my left here, are coming up. Coming up the entryway here. The Jackalopes right in front of me, and out come the Shreveport Mudbugs, led by Taylor Hodges, followed by Carter McKay and Liam Wolf-Talby. Like I mentioned, if you're just now joining us, welcome in to Shreveport Mudbugs hockey. Score is 2-2, all with goals coming from Joe Samango and Duke Earhart for the Bugs. And then Odessa was able to find a quick answer, both unassisted goals. The first one coming from, first one, I believe, coming from Caden G. Hossey. Yes, first one coming from Caden G. Hossey, the second one coming from Henry Thornton. Now Odessa makes their way out onto the ice. Mudbugs will now skate left to right from my vantage point of things here. Odessa will skate from right to left. Yes, and just to fully clarify, Odessa was able to find those equalizers in the in the first period. Second period is right now. First period, they were able to find those equalizers from Caden G. Hossey at 9:43 and Henry Thornton at 7:18 in the first period. Of course, now Mudbugs going over to Tyler Hodges, stood on his head this weekend. In almost about every game he's played in, he has stood on his head. One of the many positives that Coach Soupy has highlighted about this team, and personally, one of the main things I am highlighting as well. Of course, Mudbugs hockey tonight is, and of course, the second period as a whole is brought to you by our friends at DeFata and Associates, Investigative and Risk Analysis Services. Personal matters, child custody cases, internal theft problems within your business, just call our main man, Jerry DeFata, at 318-635-9944 to discuss your case, or log on to DeFataPI.com. Jackalopes able to win the faceoff. We're underway here. Second period now. Shea Berry going to take it up the left-hand side and fire it in to the bug zone. Adams will take it back and give it away to Duke Earhart. So Mango now trying to get it upwards, not able to do so. Elrington takes it back for Odessa. Jacobs is into the Bug zone. Had a stick poked away, the puck poked away by the stick of Evan Adams. Jack still with possession. Over here in the left-hand corner, it'll be Jacobs in Solango getting involved and trying to get the puck cleared out of the Bug zone if you're Joe Solango there. Now Evan Adams will come up with it behind the net of Tyler Hodges. He'll pass it off to Joe Solango, who passes it right back to Evan Adams. And he'll find Duke Earhart. Earhart up front, and he gets his pocket picked by Thornton. It's his pocket pick by Thornton. Heck of an effort from Duke Earhart. Now Chase Sakrisky, he's able to enter the zone. Chase Sakrisky now, unfortunately he gets the puck poked away from him. Odessa now up the left-hand side, that's Zajac. Zajac now trying to make a move, nothing doing there. Still retains possession as he goes around behind the net. Now it's back up to the defense of Odessa, and they keep it in the Bug zone. Catalano tries to find a man. Nothing doing there, but Thornton's able to get possession. It's shot on, and it's saved by Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs hockey tonight, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Johnny's Pizza House. Johnny's Pizza House, let's share a slice of the best pizza in town. Of course, that's Johnny's Pizza House. And we're also brought to you tonight by our friends at Coors Light. Coors Light, made to chill. 18:29 left here in the second period. Bugs 2, Jackalopes 2. Hodges conferring with the head referee down there behind his net. Excuse me, in front of his net. I apologize. All right. Looks like it'll be Percelli and Hoagland to the face-off of the right of Taylor Hodges. Percelli now trying to find a man behind the net. Nothing doing, but Richards was able to take it away. Le Perrons, that's Perrons' shot, and it's just brought in by Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs hockey tonight is brought to you by our friends at Coca-Cola, Morrison DeWitt. Of course, the Morrison DeWitt injury report. No injuries to report from head coach Jason Super Campbell, as well as Willis Knight and athletic trainer Hunter Robinson. Of course, we send our best wishes to number 9, Ryan Baird. He's recovering well. Good to hear from him on his recovery update, said Coach Soupy. Faceoff will come out now to the left of Hodges. Willie Tremblay will take the faceoff. Of course, I believe that'll be against Percelli. Yes, it will. Faceoff advantage goes to the Jackalopes. Bugs look like they had it just for a split second, but Jackalopes are able to come with it. Now it just gets fired in front. Nothing doing there. Matar now. Matar trying to find somebody. Nothing doing. Mudbugs now. Corbin Gephardt not able to get to it in time, but Willie Tremblay getting a stick on it. Willie Tremblay getting brought down to the ice. Now puck gets sent back up top. And Tremblay gets knocked down in front. Corbin Gephardt takes it away, and just it's able to clear out of the Jack zone. Les Perrons got a stick on it and thought he kept it in, but it was able to trickle outside of the Jackalope zone. Now back into the Jackalope zone. Percelli gets hit by Johnny Burnt. Big hit from Johnny Burnt. There, Lamer still keeps possession for Odessa, and they score. That'll be number 13. Daniel Kukskowski finding the goal there, and Jackalopes will take the lead by a score of 3-2, 17:24 left here in the second period. For what it's worth, the Mudbugs trying to find good defense there. Fortunately, they weren't able to find such, and Daniel Kukskowski came up with it and got it right past Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs now huddling up just inside their own zone. What they got on the ice for the Bugs is number 3, Evan Adams, Jason Simons, 28, Andre Parichka, Mitchell Reed, and Liam Wolf-Talby. Parichka will take the faceoff for the Bugs. Taking the faceoff for the Jackalopes is number 12, McPherson. That is Luke McPherson. Puck's now dropped. Odessa able to come up with a face-off on the right-hand side, and it gets trickled in off the stick of Tyler Hodges. Bugs now looking for a response, and it'll be a delayed penalty coming up on the Jackalopes. Liam Wolf-Talby went down after a hit from Luke Pankratz. And that's what the call will be. Let's find out the full call here. It'll be 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike looked like. Which now the Bugs are now back on the the Scott Power Line power play. Scott Power Line, a proud partner of Mudbugs hockey for many years and more to come. Faceoff will come out to the left of Colin Davis. Bugs able to control the faceoff. Earhart finds Burnt. Burnt shot just goes off the post. Bugs trying to regain possession, and they do. Jackalopes getting a stick on it. It gets twisted around. Sakrisky finds it. Sakrisky, and momentarily stoppage of play as the net comes off its moorings. 16:55 left here to go in period number 2. Jackalopes 3, Bugs 2. Of course, Daniel Kukskowski for that third goal for the Jackalopes. Faceoff will now come out to the right of Colin Davis. Carter McKay will take the faceoff here against, it looked like it was going to be number 15, Jeremy Jacobs. Now the referees are conferring in front of the scorer's table. Wonder what this could be about. Well, you find out their decision. Mudbugs Hockey tonight is brought to you by friends at Graf Orthodontics, Bayou Roofing and Mechanical Services, McKay Consulting, Metro Aviation, and of course the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission. Thank you to those proud partners of Mudbugs Hockey. Looks like the clock is counting down here. Don't know if they're quite trying to find the set time here. Looks like it is 16:40 now. Be 1:43, which is interesting. It'll be 1:43 because I don't believe the penalty started there, but nonetheless, we move on. 16:35 left here. Bugs now control it in their own zone. Earhart with some pressure on from a Jackalopes player. That would be McPherson. That'd be Arrington. Earhart taking up the left-hand side, passes it around, and it will just sputter out of the Jackalope zone. Back into the Mudbug zone. Johnny Burnt now. Burnt trying to find Earhart. Couldn't find him, and he gets intercepted by the Jackalopes, and they send it back down. Evan Hoagland now. He's trying to find his man. He's going to leave it off for Johnny Burnt. Burnt now gets past Kukskowski. Burnt leaving it off for Evan Hoagland. Hoagland, here he comes up the left-hand side. Hoagland, he spins. He finds Johnny Burnt, or at least he tried to, and the puck bounced up and away, and nothing doing there for the Bugs. 48 seconds left on the Scott Powerline power play. Joe Samango now on the right-hand side here. To get in the zone, he does, and he gets bodied by Shea Berry. Samango able to get up quickly now. Bugs going left to right. Center. Adams try to find a shot quickly. Nothing doing. Bugs are able to not, unfortunately, retain possession. And Willie Tremblay looks to be down. He's able to get back up quickly. He's going to come back into the bench. Mudbugs wanting to get a line change off there. Able to do so. Now Stock. He finds Adams. Evan Adams back to Jake Stock. Stock fires. Gets blocked on the way through. Rebound. Mudbugs still have it here. 7 seconds left here on the penalty. On the penalty of the Jackalopes, and it gets poked free by Toms, and Samango's able to come up with it and bounce it back down where it's going to be Griner, Jared Griner, loses possession of the puck, and now Pankratz out of the box. He comes to the right-hand side, and he still is able to get possession back on it, and Ty Easton will intercept it. Easton, he finds Jacob Stock. Stock now trying to find somebody to help him, and he tries to find Jared Griner, nothing doing there. Now Odessa, they'll send it down the length of the ice, no icing. Now Zajac tries to find somebody in front. Toms, and it looked like it was almost going to be covered up by Tyler Hodges, but it just squeaks loose now. Mudbugs coming the other way. Porichka finds his man on the left side. Shot fired, and it's just wide. That'd be Owen Case. Try to find it there. Nothing doing there. Now Simons trying to find the possession on there. Jackalopes will come up with it, and that'll be Vihalani, and now he'll pass it over to Lesperance. Lesperance, he'll dump it down the length of the ice, and that will be a icing brought to you by, of course, our partners and friends at Louder's Baking Company. 14:05 left here in the second period. Thank you for tuning in once again, ladies and gentlemen, to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network. If you're just tuning in, your score right now is Jackalopes 3, Mudbugs 2. This will be a conversation over to Jackalopes head coach Scott Durr, excuse me. Can't quite figure out what it is. Now, head referee Young will sit over there alongside the linesman Edling. Bugs will get a line change here. And they're both. And Scott Durr's trying to find out what exactly is going to happen here. And there'll be a penalty coming up on the Jackalopes. Coming up to number 12. Luke McPherson. Bugs will now be back on the Scott Powerline power play. Penalty coming to number 14. Number 14. That'll be a 4-minute call. Be a 4-minute penalty on the Jackalopes, and your Bugs are on the Scott Powerline power play. Bugs now win the faceoff, but it appears to be a false start. Get that call. That'll be Luke McPherson going into the box for a double minor of high sticking. Bugs able to get the face-off. Earhart now trying to find Carter McKay, and it just gets intercepted and dumped down the timeline, and it'll be played on by Tyler Hodges. Hodges leaves it for Burnt. Burnt behind his own net. And figure out the next plan of attack. Now Burnt take it up. He'll get past Jacobs. Burnt now leaving it, passing it up front, and that pass over to Sakrisky, and it bounces up off the seats here in the Ector County Coliseum. And yeah, it'll be puck out of play. It'll be a momentarily stoppage in play here. Faceoff will come out to the left of Colin Davis. Bugs, of course, on the Scott Powerline power play. 3:33 left in that double minor to Luke McPherson for high sticking. Bugs able to, and unfortunately not. It looked like they were able to gain possession on that faceoff. They were not. Arrington now gets into the Bugs zone, and Jacobs, some contact on Willie Tremblay. Now Samango able to get a pass from Jonah Jasser. Tremblay is able to keep it in the zone for the Bugs. Goes up and goes down and comes right back up. Evan Adams walking the tightrope now. Tremblay fires, and it gets blocked in front by a Jackalope. Look to be Thornton, number 5. Mudbugs, Jackalopes both trying to find it, and it gets dumped down the length of the ice into the right-hand corner. Tyler Hodges will play it and leave it back, rather, for Evan Adams. 2:50 left in the McPherson double minor for high sticking once again. On the Bugs are on the Scott Powerline power play. Tremblay now. Tremblay is going to come up the right-hand side here. He's going to pass it in, and bounce around the back of the netting, and it'll be kept in by the Bugs. Willie Tremblay now looking for his man, trying to find a Bug. He does. Johnny Burnt now. Burnt over to Samango. Samango's able to retain possession of it. Samango back to Tremblay. Greiner up top. Greiner over to Burnt. Burnt now holding. He finds Tremblay. Tremblay fires, and it gets blocked by Shea Berry. Now Burnt back over for Tremblay. Tremblay for Jasser. Of course, now he's going to get back onto Jared Greiner's stick. Greiner. A little bit of contact there, able to regain possession. Tremblay now holding it. Going to go behind the net of Colin Davis, and he gets some contact there from Shea Berry. Mudbugs still have possession. Jasser now holding it. He finds Johnny Burnt on the right and left-hand corner, and that shot gets blocked in front, and it'll get sent down the length of the ice. 1:45 left on the McPherson double minor. It'll be left behind for Jared Greiner. Of course, then that will be left behind for Johnny Burnt. 1:30 left to go in that McPherson double minor. 11:35 left in this period. Now Carter McKay over to Chase Sakrisky. Sakrisky trying to leave it out for Evan Hoagland. Nothing doing there. Jackalopes clear it. Hodges now. He'll leave it behind for Duke Earhart. Almost a miscommunication there, but Bugs able to come with it. Earhart, he circles now, and he finds Evan Hoagland. Minute 5 left on that McPherson double minor. Now, here come the Bugs. Hoagland finds Carter McKay on the left. Carter McKay gonna set up. Now, McKay over to Earhart. Earhart finds Sakrisky. Sakrisky. He finds Evan Adams. Earhart. Now he's looking. He finds Hoagland. Hoagland's trying to find Evan Adams. Nothing doing there. Jackalopes able to gain possession. Nate Thomas, and he'll just dump it into the zone. The Bugs will dump it in. Evan Adams now. He'll take it. 35 left on that McPherson double minor. And on the Scott Powerline power play. Bugs now trying to set up shop. And of course, now Earhart will leave it for Evan Adams. Adams passes it back to Hoagland. Bugs enter the Jackalope zone. Parichka now. He's trying to keep it in, and he does. Adams finds Sakrisky. Sakrisky trying to pass it off to Parichka. Parichka gains possession now. Parichka leaves it up front for Evan Hoagland. Adams over to Earhart, and his shot just goes wide. Now Hoagland. Hoagland now, and now the Jackalopes have killed off that penalty. And now the puck gets, that shot got on the post. Apologies. Sakrisky's shot gets saved away, gets blocked away. McPherson now. Now the Jackalopes will compensation. Kukskowski will dump it down the length of the ice, and that'll be an icing on the Jackalopes. Of course, that Kukskowski goal, the assist coming from Austin Lamer and Gabe Pankratz at 7:24 in the second period. If you're just joining us, time remaining left in this period is 9:44. Jackalopes 3, your Shreveport Mudbugs 2. Of course, both Bugs goals coming back in the first period. First one coming from Joe Semango, and the second one coming from Jonah Jasser. Picking up Jonah Jasser, he'll take the face-off here to the right of Colin Davis. And the Jackalopes able to come up with that face-off there. But Bugs gain possession, not for long though. It trickles out of the Jackalope zone now. Mitchell Reed, he'll give it off to Owen Case. Case now, try to find Jonah Jansen, nothing doing that. Gets intercepted, delayed off sides. Jack's able to get back in and out. Now, Owen Case, he'll send it for Liam Wolf. Tulby across the neutral zone. Tulby trying to find somebody in front, and it tips in. It tips in, and I believe Jonah Jasser will get the credit on the goal. And the Bugs tie it up with 9:15 left here in the second period. Jonah Jasser will get the credit on the goal, at least from the goal from the high five line. Of course, that's the best way to judge a goal, in my opinion. We'll find out here in a moment from the scoring. Richards now asking head official Young what went on, and Scott Durr also asking. But what a tip-in from Jonah Jasser, and Liam Wolf-Talby will get the assist credit. Bugs 3, Jacks 3, 9:15 left here in this second period. Of course, while we have a quick break in the action, I'd like to remind you folks that second period tonight is brought to you by our friends at Sterling Dental. DeFata and Associates. I apologize. The second period is brought to you by our friends at DeFata and Associates, investigative risk and investigative now services. We'll get back to them in a minute. Jackalopes able to just fire it lazily on to the net of Tyler Hodges. Now, the second period is brought to you by our friends at DeFata and Associates, investigative and risk analysis services, personal matters, child custody cases, internal theft problems within your business. Just call our main man, Jerry DeFata, at 318-635-9944 to discuss your case, or log on to DeFataPI.com. Thank you once again to DeFata and Associates. Face-off will now come out to the left of Tyler Hodges. Hodges been pretty good so far on the night. Jackalopes able to win the face-off. Shea Berry gets a possession on it first. Rebound, and it's in. Melker Loveland able to come up with the rebound that came off of the pads of Tyler Hodges, and that'll be a fourth goal to the Jackalopes with 9:02 remaining left here in the second period. Once again, that goal came off the rebound that was saved by Tyler Hodges. Came off the right pad of Tyler Hodges. And Melker Loveland was able to come up with the rebound. 9:02 remaining here. Once again, folks, Jackalopes take the lead. Melker Loveland will get the goal, and Shea Berry and Nicholas Percelli will get the assist credits at 9:02 in the second period. Oh, wait a second here. Just want to remind you folks, and you can ask about our group rates for future Mudbug home games this season. Any group 10 or more, it's $10 a ticket. Call us to book your group at 318-636-7094. Or email our director ticket of sales, Mr. Mason Sprott. And of course, 2025-26 season tickets are still on sale. But once again, if you want to get that group rate, call our friend Mason Sprott, the director ticket of sales, at 318-636-7094. Willie Tremblay will take the face-off against Jeremy Jacobs. And Jackalopes able to come with it. Jihasi over to Vihanen. And Jackalopes will able to get it the inside. And no icing there. Hodges was looking for an icing, at least from my vantage point. Now it'll be in the left-hand corner here. Mudbugs able to come up with it. Lesperance able to keep it on the zone for the Jackalopes. And his shot will just get deflected. Goal light appears to be on behind the net of Tyler Hodges. But not on the other end of the Odessa netminder there. That'll be number 1, Colin Davis. And now the goal light is able to go off. Now Jackalopes coming up with it. Jihasi, that's Jihasi on the right-hand side. Jihasi fires, and that's saved by Hodges. Some still action still going on here. Jackalopes still able to keep it in, and that shot from Vihanen is blocked away by Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs will take it. Tremblay, Willie Tremblay now over to Evan Adams. Adams looking to set up the play here, and he gets some action from the Jackalopes, and they will gain control of the puck in the Bug zone. McPherson, that's McPherson. McPherson now on the right-hand side. Stick handles, they turn it over. Carter McKay now. Mudbugs can hurry up and get a play here if they have time, and that shot gets sticked away by Colin Davis. Now Jackalopes, McPherson coming up the left side. That's McPherson, and he gets that puck of his will bounce off. And the net will come off its moorings. Tyler Hodges' net will come off its moorings with 7:40 left to go here in period number 2. Of course, your score being Jackalopes 4, your Shreveport Mudbugs 3. We have a moment coming up in the second intermission, my conversation with Duke Earhart. Duke Earhart got both goals last night for the Bugs. That's sponsored by our friends at Sonic Drive-In. This is How We Sonic. That'll be coming up later. Jackalopes win the face-off. Thornton now is able to just easily throw it into the Bug zone. Owen Case now gains possession. Now Hoagland gets his stick on it. Carter McKay, he finds Ty Easton on the right-hand side. Easton fires. That gets blocked away by Colin Davis. Sakrisky now up with it behind the net of Davis. Sakrisky now handling the puck. Sakrisky leaves it off for Easton. Easton fired in front. And Sakrisky tried to find something there, but nothing doing for Chase Sakrisky. Zajac now. Jackalopes the other way. Thomas, that shot gets fired in and saved away by Tyler Hodges. Now Thornton now. Jackalopes trying to set up a play here. Now it will be a turned over to the Bugs. Owen Case retains possession. Bugs try to clear it out of the Jackalope zone, and they do. Not before it's turned over to Shea Berry. Berry will lose control of it, and that will lead, to an offsides. Mudbugs Hockey Night is also brought to you by our friends at the Louisiana Association for the Blind. And Shreveport Mudbugs, of course, love their partners, including the Louisiana Association for the Blind. That's why we encourage our fans to support our partners. Did you know that the Louisiana Association for the Blind produces copy paper? If your business or organization needs copy paper or other office supplies, visit lablind.com to order yours today. Now puck is in the Bug zone. Zamango is able to get it out. Earhart, and he gets muscled off the puck there by Shea Berry. Jackalopes come the other way. Matar with it. And his pass got blocked. Now Bugs able to come back with it. Earhart. He finds Evan Adams. They go through the front. Evans for Samango. Samango tried to pass it back up front to Adams. That got blocked on the way through. Mudbugs now with it on the left-hand face-off dot. Can't quite tell who has the possession. Reed now finds it, fires it. That goes off, and the net mooring will come off, and that'll be a whistle there. Like I mentioned, the net moorings are coming off a lot here in Odessa. That's no one's fault, of course. It's accidental. It's accidental. It's accidental, of course. 6:03 left here in the second period. Bugs, unfortunately, right now are trailing the Odessa Jackalopes by a score of 4-3. Of course, that fourth goal coming on from Melker Loveland at 9:02 in the second period. Bugs were able to find a goal here in the second period. That came from Jonah Jasser and Liam Wolf-Talby. Face-off will come out to the left, and Wolf-Talby will take the face-off. Barry and Parichka are tied up. Bugs will now take it back from the Jackalopes. Fired, shot, he scores! Couldn't quite tell who was able to get his stick on it, but I believe that'll be number 37, Jason Simons. With the goal, Simons was able to find it and fire it right past Colin Davis. And this game, folks, is tied up 4-4 with 5:54 left to go here in the second period here at the Ector County Coliseum. There was some initial confusion at first, and I couldn't quite tell why initially, but what matters is Bugs got the puck in the net, game's tied, and now face-off, going to come back to the neutral zone, and Wolf-Talby's, of course, now talking to one of the linesmen. He's in the face, the linesman's face of Wolf-Talby, but that's not going to matter as of this moment, or at least not right now anyways. Jackalopes able to win the face-off and just able to pass it on in deep, but not for long as it will trickle back into their own zone. Les Perrance now able to come up with it for the Jackalopes. Now, when Johnny Burnt was able to get a stick on it, Jackalopes able to retain possession, but not before. Parichka, unfortunately, turned it over. Jihasi got his pocket picked by Corbin Gebhardt. Now, head the other way. Not for long, though. Les Perrance able to come back up with it. Jacobs now. He finds his man. That'll be Arrington. Arrington goes down. Moving along here. Wolf-Talby will find Johnny Burnt. Les Perrance will get a contact stick on it. Wolf-Talby will dump it into the Jackalope zone where Colin Davis will leave it off for Les Perrance. Looks like Jared Griner trying to get some action in on Les Perrance. Nothing doing there. Les Perrance dumps it into the Bug zone. It'll be Case, and the puck will almost, and it did find its way onto the net of Tyler Hodges. Tried to cover it up, but it got knocked loose by a Jackalope. Now Thornton and Case, 5-on-5. That'll be number 5 on number 5. Jackalopes, and now the Bugs able to come up with it on the right-hand corner. Ty Easton will take it, and he'll go over to the left, and he got taken down by number 29, Pankratz. Like I say, don't see that often, Ty Easton going down, but now there's some action here just in the top of the left-hand corner. Now Bugs able to come away with it. Owen Case now, he'll find Jared Griner. Griner on the right-hand side. Griner trying to find something to set up here. Try to find Willie Tremblay in front. Nothing doing. Jackalopes, nope. Mudbugs able to gain control. Tremblay still retains possession. Tremblay shot, and it's in! Willie Tremblay puts it home, and the Bugs take a 5-4 lead. And folks, this is probably one of the more interesting things I've said, but parlez-vous français, Willie Tremblay. Of course, if we were back in Shreveport, that 5th goal would lead to Route 44s. Of course, that's more reason to come to a Mudbugs game. 5 goals by the Bugs would get you a free Route 44, courtesy of our partners at Sonic Drive-In. Speaking of Sonic Drive-In, they sponsor our second innovation show, and my conversation with Duke Earhart. But we'll get into that a little later. Willie Tremblay puts it on net for the Bugs. Looks like it'll be unassisted as of this moment. If there's any assist details, I'll get that to you. Bugs able to gain possession, and that puck will just trickle in on the zone of the Jackalopes. Jackalopes now control possession behind their own net. Carter McKay is in on the right-hand side, at least from our vantage point. Now they dump it off, and he gets caught up in between a Jackalope. It'll be number 11, Brandon Catalano. Hoagland tried to find something, and he gets some contact from number 24, Hunter Toms. Barry now trying to get it out of the Jackalope zone, and he does. That puck will go all the way down for an icing. 3:26 left here in the second period. Bugs 5, Jackalopes 4, of course, that fifth goal coming from Willie Alexis Tremblay, unassisted at 4:03 in the second period. And folks, if I sounded a little excited, for what it's worth, that was a pretty tough angle shot for Willie Tremblay to put the Bugs ahead. Now, faceoff was to the right of Colin Davis. Jackalopes able to come up with it. Johnny Burnt was trying to keep the puck alive in the Jackalope zone, nothing doing there, but Jack's able to come up with it. They dump it into the zone off the right-hand corner. Now, Johnny Burnt will come up with it here on the left. Here on our left-hand side. Jonah Jasser able to gain control through the neutral zone. Jasser, he found Duke Earhart, and that shot got blocked away. Now, Jackalopes Loveland, he backhands it into the Bug zone, and Tyler Hodges will cover it up. 2:48 left here in the second period. Whew. Very intense here. Intense in terms of both physicality and skillfulness from both teams here tonight, including the Bugs, especially the Bugs, I should add. Faceoff will come out to the left of Tyler Hodges. And for what it's worth here, folks, Hodges has saved. For what it's worth, folks, Tyler Hodges has at least saved 13 of those 17 shots. Shots now just getting updated here behind us. Now, Michael Zajac going over for Odessa. Now they're going over to the bench. Looks like they'll get a line change of sorts here, and referee will explain to Brett Smith. And according to right now, double minor on Joe Samango. That will be, but I don't see him in the box. Now he's going over to the box. That'll be a double minor on Joe Samango. I couldn't see any sort of call. I admit I'm a little confused. And of course, I'll find that out here shortly for you lovely folks. Okay, so now I see it. So it looks like Samango will get a double minor for high sticking with 2:48 left. Bugs will now go on the first choice personnel penalty kill. First choice personnel, of course, a proud partner of the Shreveport Mudbugs, your Shreveport Mudbugs, I should add. Now, Jackalopes able to control the faceoff. Lesperance finds Jacobs. Jacobs fires, and it's into the pad of Tyler Hodges. 2:40 left here, and some words, and the referee's trying to separate the two. Of course, down here to my right are several Mudbugs healthy scratches. Remy Pusateri, Gordon Guerrero, and many others. And Remy Pusateri just made eye contact with me, folks, so that's never good. That's never good, folks. But face-off will now come out to the right of Tyler Hodges. Looks like Jacobs will be taking the face-off, and Jackalopes will be able to control that face-off. Couldn't quite tell who for the Bugs took that face-off. And now Jacobs' pass got deflected. Now Bugs, they try to clear it down the zone. Nothing doing there. That got blocked by Lesperance. Jacobs back over to Lesperance. And that gets some stick work by Duke Earhart, and it's just able to trickle outside the Odessa zone. But not for long as the Jackalopes come up with it. Whew. Now Adams trying to get on it, and so is Reed. There's a scrum in the left-hand corner. Can't quite tell who's trying to come up with it. And it will be the Jackalopes. Lesperance now takes it up at the top of the blue line. Over to Jacobs. Jacobs fires. That puck is loose. The net came off its mooring. The Odessa fans believe it's a goal. From my vantage point, it looked like the net came off first. We'll get the official word here, but there's some scraps going on here between the Bugs and the Jackalopes. Like I said, we'll find out the official word here first. 1:54 left in this second period, and 3:06 left on that double minor to Joe Samango for high sticking. 3:06 left in that call. The first choice personnel penalty kill. Looks like Scott Durr is going to take the tablet out, and they're going to take a look at this thing, and so is Brett Smith of the Bugs. They're going to take a look at some things. Well, we got a moment here. I'd like to, of course, thank Chet Yoder for allowing me to fill in this position for the weekend. And, of course, a big thank you to Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket and Mudbugs owner Tommy Scott for allowing me to fill in this position here in Odessa this weekend by calling the games. And, of course, a big thank you to each and every one of you tuning in tonight on NATV and, of course, the Mudbugs Audio Network on YouTube. Referee still discussing things. Brett Smith still looking over his tablet. Jackalopes coaching staff, Scott Dorr and Marquise Cotton, they're looking over it. Jackalopes believe it was a goal. Mudbugs, obviously, of course, believe it was not a goal. And like I said, from my vantage point, it looked like the netting had come off first, then the puck crossed the line. But that's just my vantage point of things. Like I said, folks, got a little intense on that Wiltron Blake goal. It looks like we're going to get a decision here. We'll have to get back to my earlier thought here in a second. And the decision, no goal. No goal is the decision coming from the North American Hockey League officiating staff here tonight, and, of course, back in the replay center. Remy Pusateri, if you couldn't hear him over the broadcast, he said, good call, good call. So that'll be interesting. And now some words being exchanged by both benches towards one another. Brett Smith and Jason Soupy Campbell, Mudbugs head coach, getting into it. Maybe not getting into it so much, just a friendly word of discussion, let's put it like that. Of course, Mudbugs are still on the first choice personnel penalty kill from that double minor to Joseph Samango, number 36, I should add. And it'll be a penalty shot. Excuse me, I didn't see that. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. And taking the penalty shot will be number 16, Jack Lesperance. He leads the Jackalopes in points as well as goals. He'll be going up against Tyler Hodges. Now, Lesperance takes his stride. He takes the puck from center circle. Lesperance on the right-hand side. It'll be the left-handed Tyler Hodges. He gets into a shot. They score. Jack Lesperance puts it right past Tyler Hodges. It rung up the post as well, and it crossed the line. And this game is tied up at 5. Like I said, I couldn't quite tell if there was going to be a penalty shot amongst things. So the refs had called it a no goal on the potential goal there once the net came off, but I didn't see the penalty call. But I didn't see the penalty shot call, I should add. But what matters most is this game is tied up once again, folks. 1:54 remaining in the second period, and of course 3:06 left on the first choice personnel penalty kill. Of course, the Odessa fans here are enthralled with that, of course, penalty shot call, as well as the goal from Jack Lesperance. But, like I said, I initially did not see the penalty shot call being called. Of course, now the faceoff will come back to the center circle. Of course, now this game is tied all up at 5. It's tied out once again. Jack Lesperance. For those of you for the initial confusion, the goal, there was a potential no goal called. Yes, there was a potential no goal called. It was called correctly. But then there was a penalty shot given to Odessa's number 16, Jack Lesperance. Of course, I'll have to find out more information on how that transpired. And there'll be a penalty coming up on the Bugs. And Evan Adams is infuriated right now. He is furious right now. And I believe that'll be a delay of game call. Let's find out the signal here. Delay of game called to Evan Adams here with 1:36 left in the second period. Interesting. They called it a cross-checking minor, but the ref signaled the X. Okay. So, Evan Adams will get the gate for cross-checking. 2 minutes now. Bugs down to 3 skaters, and they'll be on the first choice personnel penalty kill going into the third period. Faceoff will come out to the right of Tyler Hodges. Like I said, been an interesting turn of events in the last few minutes. Here, folks. Lesperance now. Jackalope able to win the faceoff. Lesperance sits back over for his defense partner there. L'Esperance. It's a game of back and forth between L'Esperance and his defensive partner. That'll be number 21. L'Esperance shot fired. That gets blocked in front by Owen Case. Mudbugs, here they come the other way. Jonah Jasser up the right-hand side, trying to find somebody to help him, and he'll just back it and leave it off in the Jackalope zone. L'Esperance will take it. Bugs will get a quick line change going here. Now, Jackalopes coming up the right-hand side. L'Esperance now going to hold it. Going to go back up to in front of the blue line. Jackalopes tic-tac-toe around the zone. Thomas. L'Esperance now with it. L'Esperance looking, still looking. He circled around real quick. Now over to Thomas. Thomas, they fired in the corner. Jacobs just missed. Thomas now with it. And that shot goes wide. And now be off the left of Tyler Hodges. Jackalopes retain possession. L'Esperance now with it. As he's getting battled on there with Jared Greiner. Now it's deep in the zone. Net comes off once again. Now be 16:88 left to play here in the second period. If you're just joining us, Bugs 5, Jackalopes 5. And like I said, folks, interesting turn of events here. In the last few minutes, there was a no-goal called. There was a no-goal called with with 2:05 left of the second, and then it was ruled a penalty shot for Jack L'Esperance, and he was able to get it past Tyler Hodges, and that tied things up here. Jackalopes able to win the face-off. And that'll be over for Shea Berry. 10 seconds remaining here in this second period. Mudbugs still in the first choice personnel penalty kill. Trying to find something to set up. Shot, and that's saved away by Tyler Hodges, and that'll be it, folks. Second period is in the books. Of course, when we come back into the third period, Mudbugs will still be on the 5-on-3 first choice personnel penalty kill. Minute 11, of course, left on that Joe Samango double minor, and 23 seconds left on the cross-checking minor to Evan Adams. Also, when we come back, it'll be the start of the Sonic Drive-In second intermission show. Of course, that'll be my conversation with Duke Earhart. Earhart had some interesting things to say about not only last night's game, but a lot more other things involving his personal life, and that's always fun to hear. So, when we come back, that'll be my conversation with Duke Earhart. And, of course, you're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
As a business owner, you know it's important to stay ahead of your competition to succeed. One dishonest employee providing poor customer service can send your business to the penalty box. DeFata & Associates has over 20 years of investigative experience that can help you monitor your employees and investigate losses that may be keeping you from reaching your goals. Whether you need GPS tracking, investigative shopping, integrity testing, or you're experiencing losses caused by theft, DeFata & Associates can help. Give them a call at 318-635-9944 or check out their website at defatapi.com for more information. Hey, this is Chet Yoder, voice of the Mudbugs. DeFata & Associates Investigative and Risk Analysis Services has been conducting professional private investigations for over 20 years. They offer a full range of services to both individuals and businesses. Whether you need an investigator for a personal matter, like a child custody case, or you suspect an internal theft problem with your business, DeFata & Associates has the experience, training, and knowledge to get you the information you need. Call Jerry today at 318-635-9944 to talk about your case, or visit them online at defatapi.com.
Welcome back to the Sonic Drive-In second intermission show. This is Howie Sonic, now sitting here with Mudbugs forward number 12, Duke Earhart. Duke, welcome in.
Thank you.
You know, speaking of Duke, it's funny, everyone I've ever met, granted not associated with the Mudbugs, always ask like, oh, what's his real name? I'm just like, oh, it's just David. And you're like, what? But kind of a secret, right?
Yeah, it is. Kept under wraps.
Kept under wraps there. So, Duke, we're just going to move forward with that name there. So, Duke, last night we come off a tight and tough loss to these Odessa Jackalopes, 3-2 overtime game. Jeremy Jacobs was able to find the back of the net, but it's a new day, it's a new game, and personally, personally, I think 24-hour rule should be in effect there. But that's just my opinion. What about you?
I agree. It's a new day, and we fought hard against them yesterday, so there's no reason we can't come out and beat them today.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, but it's funny, I'm going to kind of break my own rule here. But in that game, you had 2 goals on the night, both coming from Joe Semengo's your primary assist. First one from Jonah Jasser, and then the second one from Andre Parichka on the assist there. Let's talk about that second goal that tied things up late in the second period on the power play. So I'm going to set the scene. Semengo finds you quick on a breakaway, and you backhand it in right past Kevin Jones. With that goal, and I kind of asked you this earlier, what do you think the best way to score is? Like right front in the slot off a one-timer, or a breakaway as in the second goal?
Yeah, I feel like when you're alone in the slot, you just have less time to think, and you just gotta do something quick. With the breakaway, you can get in your own head too much, so
Right.
it's just different.
Of course. So, and moving along here now, what are a couple of the main themes that Coach Soupy and Smitty have kind of reverberated about this Odessa team? One of the main themes I heard from both of them is that they're a kind of a quick puck-moving team. Is that one of the things they've told you guys, and what else have they told you about this Jackalopes team?
Definitely a quick puck-moving team. They're good on offense, good in transition, and like getting up ice and creating offensive off of our turnovers.
Right. Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I think a couple of people noticed last night was the turnover battles. But I will say one thing that was very positive on last night, very positive, was of course the intensity. And that's kind of been the theme so far I've noticed with this team. Intensity, but also inconsistency. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think as long as we keep it intense and keep playing like hard, heavy, should be good.
Then the inconsistencies kind of dial down,
even
what
out.
you're saying. Right. Sitting here with Mudbugs forward number 12, Duke Earhart. Now Duke moving out of game action for a minute here. Let's get back to you. So last time we talked, of course, you told us about your hockey story and how you got here, and one of several Mudbug returners on the year. So with that in mind, tell us, I'm going to ask this kind of weirdly, tell us the best thing you have been able to experience as a part of the Shreveport Mudbugs hockey team.
I don't know. I'd say just like the locker room every day, seeing the guys and stuff, and then hanging out on the weekend, whether like golfing or whatever it is, just having fun with the boys.
Essentially creating a team culture around things.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And what about, of course, on the ice? Do you have a favorite on-ice Mudbugs moment that you can recall?
I don't know if there's a specific moment, but I just like the games we do, like shootout games or whatever, where there's just some friendly competition and stuff like that.
Yeah, during
so
practice
it's a lot
and
of fun.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, last time out, we mentioned your Billet family. We're going to mention them once again because, of course, Mudbugs hockey is nothing without their Billet family. Your Billet family is the
Davises.
They are good people, of course, good people in there. And of course, their family's always good. So, of course, my family, but that's different monkey, different story. But Davis is, of course, are good people, and you have a Billet brother, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, I've got there's 2 like younger kids, and then 2 younger boys, and then a younger girl, and then I'm with Stock and Simons in the house.
Yeah, Jason Simons and Jake Stock, both good players in their own right. So moving along here, I don't think last time we talked I asked you, do you have a favorite NHL team? I mean,
the Kings
the
from
LA
LA.
Kings.
So
I'm about to say any particular player, either all time or current.
probably Kopitar. Just
Andre
growing
Kopitar,
up.
yeah.
His brother actually coached me for a year, playing
nice.
youth hockey. So
Nice.
yeah.
So you got to experience some of that Kopitar magic.
Yeah.
Up close and personal. So, how about to say, do you have a favorite memory of watching the Kings? Just, I assume, winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, probably just their first cup. I remember being at home, and I don't know, the OT winner from Martinez was pretty electric.
Yeah.
So I remember that.
Yeah, it was against the Devils.
I think the Rangers that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, you're right. I think that might have been their second cup, but yeah, but it's all right. We move along here. So, Duke, coming into tonight, what's the one main thing that you want to tell these fans who are listening, of course, on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network on YouTube to listen for tonight?
I don't know. I think we should just be hard heavy, score some more goals, and hopefully get a win.
Yep. And of course, the win's always the biggest thing. We were able to gain a point last night, so there's some positives and, of course, some positives with that negatives, I should say. All right, Duke, I'm going to ask you one last question. I'm going to let you get going here. So it is Halloween, was Halloween weekend last night. Of course, last night was Halloween, but I'm going to keep with the theme here. Do you have a particular Halloween candy you like, and do you have a Halloween moment that you can recall off the top of your head? So it's kind of a two-parter question.
Yeah, favorite candy. I mean, I'm more of like a candy guy over chocolate, but I like it all. Probably a Jolly Rancher maybe might be my favorite.
Jolly Rancher, that's interesting. All right. And a moment?
Favorite moment, probably just trick-or-treating when I was younger, just through my neighborhood, like pillowcase full of candy for all of us.
I love that, yeah. I'm about to say trick-or-treating being a favorite moment has been kind of the theme around the Mudbugs locker room, both as players and staff recall, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, and I think a lot of kids will testify to that. They're listening tonight. So, Duke, thanks for coming on tonight. We look forward to seeing you possibly sometime back on the Sonic Drive-In Second Intermission Show as the season progresses. Of course, it's always good to talk to you, bud. And of course, we'll be back with more after these messages in the Sonic Drive-In Second Intermission Show. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
As a business owner, you know it's important to stay ahead of your competition to succeed. One dishonest employee providing poor customer service can send your business to the penalty box. DeFata and Associates has over 20 years of investigative experience that can help you monitor your employees and investigate losses that may be keeping you from reaching your goals. Whether you need GPS tracking, investigative shopping, integrity testing, or you're experiencing losses caused by theft, DeFata and Associates can help. Give them a call at 318-635-9944 or check out their website at defatapi.com for more information.
Welcome back inside the Ector County Coliseum here in Odessa, Texas, where it's 5-5 all between your Mudbugs and the Jackalopes of Odessa. Of course, my conversation with Duke Earhart. Once again, thank you to him as part of the Sonic Drive-In Second Intermission Show. Let's get the intermission numbers here for you right quick. And of course, second period was quite a busy one, folks. First, starting off with a goal from Daniel Kukskowski from Austin Lamer and Gabe Pankratz at 17:24 in the second period. And then the Bugs found the goals. Joni Jasser from Liam Wolf-Toby. That was Jasser's second goal of the night. It was the tip-in that he did get credit for. Moving along here, the Jackalopes then answered right back in 13 seconds with Melker Loveland's goal from Shea Berry and Nicholas Percelli. And then the Bugs answered at 5:54, Jason Simons from Liam Wolf-Toby and Andre Perichka. And then at a 4:03 in the second period, Willie Tremblay found it unassisted for his first goal of the contest, of course, and first goal, I believe, as a Mudbug. And then, of course, at 1:54, off the penalty shot, which, once again, folks, I was talking with the Odessa broadcaster during the breaks, and even he was confused on how it went from a no goal after review to a penalty shot. But that's the last time I'm going to bring that up, at least for the time being, at least. We'll circle back to that possibly later on here. And, of course, that's where things stand. And, of course, the penalties at 17:11, Gabe Pankratz with a boarding minor, and then Luke McPherson later on at 14:05 with a high-sticking double minor, and then Joe Semango with a high-sticking minor, double minor of his own, and then Evan Adams with a cross-checking minor at 1:36 in the first period. Shots on goal that period were in favor of the Jackalopes, 14-8, but total shots on goal, of course, are 22-20 in favor of the Jackalopes. And now, folks, it is time for the Graph Orthodontics Second Intermission in-depth look around the world of sports. Firstly, let's take a look at the North American Hockey League action going on tonight on this fine Saturday night here deep in the heart of Texas. If it'll pull up for me here. Apologies for the timing not being as perfect as I want it to be, and still loading here. But while that loads, we're going to take a look at some of the other scores around the world of sports. Of course, Game 7 of the World Series is going on, but we'll have to get back to that later on here as the scores have now loaded for myself here in the Ector County Coliseum. In the third period, the Johnstown Tomahawks and the Maine Nordiques are all tied up at 0. Of course, here in Odessa, it's 5-5 between your Bugs and the Jackalopes. Moving along here, the Philadelphia Rebels and Rochester Junior Americans are tied up at 3 with 13:45 left in the third period. The Springfield Junior Blues are leading the Wisconsin Wendigo 4-1 with 19:16 left in the third period. The Minnesota Mallards, they have a lead over the North Iowa Bulls by a score of 4-2 there. Moving along here, the St. Cloud Norsemen and Minot Minotauros game is in favor of the Minotauros by a score of 3-2. The Austin Bruins, they lead the Watertown Shamrocks by a score of 3-0. And of course, finishing off here with some South Division action, the Oklahoma Warriors, they lead the New Mexico Ice Wolves by a score of 3-2. And at the end of the first period, it appears the El Paso Rhinos and Amarillo Wranglers are all tied up at 0. Apologies, there's 2 more scores that have just now loaded. Sometimes that happens at the end of the first period. At the end of the first period, the Aberdeen Wings, they lead the Bismarck Bobcats. That game is tied 0s in the end of the first. And then the Minnesota Wilderness, they lead the Janesville Jets by a score of 1-0 there. Of course, some games that went final, games that went final during the period. And earlier in the day, actually, the Maryland Black Bears, they defeated the Danbury Hat Tricks by a score of 5-4. The Northeast Generals, they defeated the New Jersey Titans by a score of 7-2. And the Elmira Aviators, they defeated the New Hampshire Mountain Kings by a score of 4-3. Some games still on the docket for the day. The Chippewa Steel take on the Fairbanks Ice Dog, and the Anchorage Wolverines take on the Kenai River Brown Bears. Now, let's take a look at those scores going on in the rest of the sporting world. We're going to first start with Game 7 of the World Series. You have the Major League Baseball, of course. Apologies about that. The Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the third inning against the Dodgers, but they had Shohei Ohtani as their starting pitcher. Now we move into some NHL action here. Right quick. There's 3:10 left to go in this intermission time frame. And now the NHL scores. The Capitals and Sabres are all tied up at 3. The Senators and Canadiens are tied up at 2 at the second intermission. Both games, including this next one I'm about to bring up. The Maple Leafs and Flyers, the Maple Leafs actually lead the Flyers 3-1. Of course, all those games, as mentioned, are in the second intermission there. Moving along, the Blue Jackets, they lead the Blues by a score of 2-1. The Minnesota Wild, they lead the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 2-1. Some games that went final earlier in the day, the Florida Panthers defeated the Dallas Stars by a score of 4-3 in a shootout. The San Jose Sharks, they defeated the Colorado Avalanche by a score of 3-2 in overtime there. The Nashville Predators defeated the Calgary Flames by a score of 4-2. And the Boston Bruins defeated the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 2-1. And, of course, the Winnipeg Jets defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 5-2. Moving along into college football action. And as I mentioned in the first period, LSU is on their usual bye week before the Alabama game. So we'll have to find out the score for you next week at this time. Moving along, Ole Miss, they lead the Gamecocks of South Carolina by a score of 17-14. Michigan, they lead Purdue 14-10 in the third quarter. NC State, they're up 24-17 on number 8, Georgia Tech. The Ramblin' Rick from Georgia Tech. Of course, Oklahoma and Tennessee, they're all tied up at 10 with 6:12 left in the second quarter there. Moving along here, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, they lead the USC Trojans by a score of 14-6. And some games still on the docket for the day. The Bearcats of Cincinnati take on the Utes of Utah. And that game is at 9:15. Some games that went final earlier in the day. Virginia, the Cavaliers, they defeated Cal by a score of 31-21. The Bulldogs, they defeated Florida by a score of 24-20. The Red Raiders of Texas Tech defeated the Kansas State Wildcats by a score of 43-20. The Hoosiers of Indiana, they defeated Maryland. The Terrapins by a score of 55-10. Notre Dame, they defeated the Boston College Golden Eagles, or Boston College Eagles, by a score of 25-10. Louisville defeated Virginia Tech by a score of 28-6. Moving along here, West Virginia, the alma mater of one Hunter Robinson. Excuse me, folks, got a little sidetracked. The West Virginia University Mountaineers, they defeated the Houston Cougars. Wow. They defeated the Houston Cougars by a score of 45-35. Moving on here, SMU, they defeated Miami by a score of 26-20 in overtime, and that's a big upset for SMU there. Ohio State, of course, the number 1 ranked program in the country, defeated Penn State by a score of 38-14, and Texas just squeaking by Vanderbilt, the Commodores, by a score of 34-31 there. Now, of course, just real quick before we get back here to third play action, some MLS playoff action. One score of note, Nashville SC leads Inter Miami and Leo Messi there 2-0. Both teams now coming back out onto the ice for the start of the third period here deep in the heart of Texas. Of course, Tyler Hodges, he stood on his head tonight, and so has Colin Davis. Of course, this third period tonight is brought to you by our friends at Delta Utilities, your third period sponsor. Of course, as mentioned, is Delta Utilities. Know what's below. Call 811 to locate buried utilities at least 2 days. That's 2 days before digging for any project. Thank you to our friends at Delta Utilities for sponsoring this third period. And, folks, it's going to get intense. Kind of dramatizing everything, but I don't think there's dramatization needed. Been a heck of a contest here in Odessa. Been eventful both in terms of scoring and in penalties for that matter. Which 5-5 is your score between the Jacks and your Shreveport Mudbugs. Shots, of course, are in favor of the Jackalopes by 2 shots in particular, 22-20 there. Something interesting going on. Jackalopes are out, but now the Mudbugs are starting to come out. It'll be Jonah Jasser, Ty Easton. Looks like it'll be Mitchell Reed as well. Be that 5-on-3 first choice personnel penalty kill. Now we're underway. Jackalopes win the faceoff, and L'Esperance is up the left side. That puck will trickle in and go around the back of the net of Tyler Hodges. Mudbugs now battling. Excuse me, folks. Mudbugs now battling now. Jihasi comes up with it. He leaves it off for L'Esperance. L'Esperance tries to find a man. He doesn't. Thomas, and they go back and forth. Tic-tac-toe. Now down and deep into the right-hand corner. Jacobs tries to find somebody in front, and that gets blocked away. Whistle blown. Evan Adams is out of the box. Yeah, quick stoppage of play. Looks like it'll be just that, a quick stoppage of play. Apologies for the brief air silence there. It'll be a quick stoppage of play, but Evan Adams is out of the box, but your Bugs are still on the first choice personnel penalty kill for that double minor on Joe Samango. Now Jackalopes win the faceoff. L'Esperance taking with it here in the left top corner. Back over to Jacobs. Shot fires. That goes wide. L'Esperance now comes with it here in the top right corner. Thomas now finds it. Up to Jacobs. Jacobs fires. That gets sticked away by Tyler Hodges. L'Esperance now gets past Jonah Jasser up here on the left. That fires, and that's into the equipment, and the mask has come off of Tyler Hodges. It was covered up, but the mask also did come off, and there's some extracurricular going on behind the net. Of course, Adams is in. Adams kind of stepped outside of it. Jasser was in the middle of it, I believe. Ty Easton also in the middle of that scrum. But like Coach Soupy mentioned in the pregame interview, the Landers Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram and Fiat pregame show interview with him, they wanted to kind of keep away from those scrums, at least minimally, to try to, keep the flow of the game still going in favor of the Bucks. Keep that pendulum, is what is his words, swinging in favor of the Bugs. 19-12 left to go here in the third period. Just the start of the third period, 24 seconds left on that Samango double minor. This faceoff will now come out to the right of Tyler Hodges. It'll be Jared Griner taking the faceoff against Percelli now. Jackalopes able to win the faceoff back. That comes back over to Shea Berry. Shea Berry over to Toms. Toms down to McPherson. McPherson finds Berry's shot that goes high and to the left. To the right of Tyler Hodges. That shot gets blocked all the way through, and Mudbugs able to come up with it, and they're able to clear it out of the zone. 3, 2, and 1. The Bugs have killed off that 5-on-3 first choice personnel penalty kill, and now, but the puck is still in the Jackalope zone. Percelli tries to get around Johnny Burnt, and that, of course, that shot on the way through gets blocked in front, and it'll trickle back into the inside of the Jackalope zone. Colin Davis will leave it off for Shea Berry there. Andre Paritzka gets a stick on it and bounce back out to Mitchell Reed now. Reed will send it back off to Andre Parichka. Parichka now coming up the left-hand side. Parichka tries to find Liam Wolf-Talby, nothing doing there. Percelli takes it back, and now that'll be turned over by the Jackalopes now. Simons take it. Simons got a goal in the night. Simons now in the left-hand corner here, and it's turned over by the Bugs. Now Jackalopes come back out the other way with it. That'll be number 29, Pankratz. Pankratz fires a quick shot in, and it's off the left pad of Tyler Hodges. 17:50 left to go here in the third period. Thank you for tuning in to Shreveport Mudbugs hockey tonight, wherever you may be. Now Evan Adams is trying to find the puck. He's able to get that puck from Mitchell Reed, and Reed gets it right back from him, bouncing off the stick and just able to poke it in front. And big hit in front of the Mudbugs bench, and now the puck will go down the length of the ice. No icing. Davis wanted an icing there, but nothing doing. Now some contact on the right boards. Now Mudbugs trying to find that possession consistently. Kukowski, his pass rather, goes into the body of Carter McKay now. Now Carter McKay will get it back from Ty Easton. McKay into the zone. His shot just goes off the stick of Colin Davis. Looks like Chase Sakrisky down on the right-hand corner and sends it up to Ty Easton. That shot gets fired, blocked on the way through, and it'll be gloved up by Colin Davis with 17:05 left here in the third period. Once again, folks, your third period tonight is brought to you by our friends at Delta Utilities. Delta Utilities know what's below. Call 811 to locate any buried utilities at least 2 days before digging for any project. That's Delta Utilities. A big thank you from your Shreveport Mudbugs to our friends at Delta Utilities for sponsoring this third period. 17:05 left in this contest. Faceoff will now come out to the left of Colin Davis. Willie Tremblay with a goal in the night, an unassisted goal in the night. And he'll be taking the faceoff here, and Bugs win the faceoff cleanly. Burnt, that fires, that goes off the sticks of Colin Davis now. Gefhardt, he finds it, he fires it in, and that just goes off to the right-hand corner of Colin Davis. Right hand from our vantage point. Rather, Tremblay goes down. Nothing called from the ref. No reaction from the Bugs bench there. Moving along here now. Jackalopes, they try to get in, but the puck just squirmed out of the zone. Sajak, he fires it in, and they go off the stick of Tyler Hodges there. Now to go back down the other way, and that'll be a Lowder's Baking Company icing. Thank you to Lowder's Baking Company from your Shreveport Mudbugs. Looks like the faceoff will come out to the, I believe, the right. No, excuse me. Nope. Going to the right of Tyler Hodges. At first head referee Young signaled to the left of Tyler Hodges, but then he quickly switched hand signals there. Tremblay will take the faceoff, and advantage that'll be against Jacobs. Mudbugs are able to win that faceoff, and they're able to gain possession now. Stock sends it to number 21, Jared Greiner. Greiner over to Stock. Stock fires. That goes off the pads. Colin Davis. Now Tremblay is at it here on our left-hand side. Puck still in the front of the goalie crease there. Stock's able to come up with it. And Willie Tremblay gets absolutely crushed in front of Colin Davis. Jackalopes now come up the other way with it. And they turn it over to Mitchell Reed. Reed now going to go behind his own net. Trying to pass it off to Corbin Gefhardt, and he does. He tries to pass it up forward to Evan Hoagland. It tipped off his stick, and it'll be in the Jackalope zone. Joseph Mango will try to find it in. Now it'll be on the stick of Carter McKay. McKay over to Reed. Reed lines up, fires, and it's in front, and it gets blocked all the way through. But that's now Chase Sakrisky. Sakrisky now finds it. He's in, shot, fire. That just goes wide. Colin Davis. Now Jackalopes able to come up with possession up, and they float it in through the air. No icing called. That puck just slowed down there. No icing. Moving on. Evan Hoagland now. Hoagland sends it back to Evan Adams. Adams over to Mitchell Reed. Reed now is able to bank it into the Jackalope zone. It'll be the left-hand corner from our vantage point. Now Loveland, he's got a goal in the night. Sends it over, and it'll just bounce off the skates. All of it looked like. Couldn't quite tell from this vantage point. But nonetheless, Jackalopes able to come back up with it. Loveland now getting some contact from Liam Wolf-Talby. Loveland will go back into his own zone and play it. And now it's in front. Simons! It's saved by Colin Davis with the glove. Simons found the puck in the slot and was just able to fire it off, but nothing doing there as Colin Davis came up with the save. 14:39 left here in the third period. Of course, Of course, tonight's Mudbugs hockey broadcast is brought to you by our friends, several of our friends, rather. Of course, Bayou Outdoors, Advanced Air Conditioning, ETBU, that's East Texas Baptist University, Coca-Cola, Morrison DeWitt, Fleet Pride, Grab Orthodontics, and McKay Consulting. Big thank you to those of our corporate partners from your Shreveport Mudbugs. Face-off will come out to the left of Colin Davis. Looks like it'll be Joe Semengo. No, that was Chase Sakrisky on. No, that was. And now Jackalopes, they have a chance to get it in. Kukskowski, he fires it. It goes off the side of the netting. Goes off the side of the netting now. Les Perrons now. He dumps it in. Excuse me, he's able to get it in. And Owen Case goes down. Case goes down now. Ty Easton try to gain control of the puck now. Jackalopes and Bugs battling for it. Les Perrons able to come up with that. That's up at the front of net. Shot goes wide. That would be from number 2, Austin Lamer. Now, Les Perron's shot gets blocked in front. Here come the Bugs the other way. Semengo over to Earhart. Earhart fires in, and it's in the equipment of Duke Earhart. Some pushing and shoving right after the whistle. Semengo goes down, and Kukskowski is trying to bring down Jonah Jasser. Earhart getting some words, and Jasser sends down Kukskowski. There's some more pushing and shoving between Duke Earhart and Les Perrons there. That would be Jack Les Perrons there. I don't believe there is any calls coming out of this. No, there is not. Just a quick, simple line change for both teams here. Faceoff will come out to the right. Apologies, the left. The left of Colin Davis. Interesting stuff there. Now, Willie Tremblay against, that'll be number 21, Nicholas Arrington. Excuse me, that'll be number 27, Alex Thomas. Apologies there. One looked like a 7 from this vantage point. Bugs won the face-off, but Jackalopes take it away. Jackalopes now, here comes Zajac up with it, and it's called off sides as Zajac entered the zone, and Catalano was right behind him, but comes in before he was allowed to, of course. Gave you a slapdash explanation of offsides last night, and basically if the puck is in the zone, well, you get the idea. Not enough time to give a full explanation here. 13:51 left here in this period. Bugs 5, Jacks 5, and puck will just go into the left-hand corner, right-hand corner if you're not down on the ice of Tyler Hodges. Now, Bugs come up with it. Corbin Gebhardt. Gebhardt gets muscled off the puck. Stock trying to find it. Stock trying to find it in the feet of Zajac. Bugs now trying to find it in feet of any Odessa player, and Jacks are able to come up with it. Catalano, he slaps it into the zone of, taps it into the left-hand side of Tyler Hodges. Grider now up with it. He's trying to find Jake Stock in some contact in between Stock and Henry Thornton. Thornton with a goal in the night as well. 13:10 left here in the third period. Thanks for joining us here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network. Now Catalano comes up with it, and Jacobs gets bodied into the boards by Mitchell Reed. Evan Adams now, he's trying to battle behind the net of Tyler Hodges for that puck. It's in the boards. It's on the bottom of the boards, I should say. In the bottom of the boards. Now Hoagland's going to try to get a stick on it, and he does. Now that battle's going to get free, and Hoagland's able to get free and give it off to Mitchell Reed, who gives it right off to Carter McKay. McKay going up the right-hand side here, and he just dumps it in to the right-hand corner of Colin Davis. Now Bugs able to come up with it, but it's turned over, and Jacks come back out with it, but Ty Easton tries to get a stick on it. Now who is that? That is Jihasi. That fires, and it's away. It's blockered and saved away by Tyler Hodges. Now Arrington. Arrington's looking for it. Ty Easton with some contact. Lines him up along the boards. Pins him along the boards. Mudbugs able to come back up with it. Chase Sakrisky now. Sakrisky up the right-hand side. Left-hand side for us. Sakrisky around the net. Around the world and behind the net. Perichka able to find it, and he gets bodied, but not off the puck. Case now with it. Owen Case. That gets fired in. That goes wide. Now, Jihasi coming the other way with it for the Jackalopes on the left-hand side. Jihasi tried to find it and just got absolutely bodied by Liam Wolf-Toby. And now Bugs come the other way. That's Jason Simons. Simons with a goal in the night so far at the left-hand side. Simons now trying, goes behind the net. He gets some contact there from a Jackalope. Now Jackalopes able to take it away. And now here come the Jackalopes back the other way. Loveland leaves it for Percelli. Percelli's shot gets blocked away by Tyler Hodges. And now Gebhardt able to get a stick on it, get some contact on it. He's getting battled on by Melker Loveland, who had a goal to end the second period. Now here comes Johnny Burnt. Johnny Burnt, his pass off the boards. It's blocked in, or excuse me, gets into the Jacks zone. Not before the Jacks take it back out. Take it away. Earhart able to come up with the recovery. Earhart fires, and he gets blocked in front by Toms, and it'll go into the protective netting. 10:52 left in this period. Number 3. Where's Mudbugs Hockey tonight is brought to you by our friends at Down Home Meats. Down Home Meats, of course, is the perfect sausage for all occasions, featured in the Food Network's Barbecue America, highlighted in the Houston Livestock and Rodeo Show World Championship Cook-Off, and knows the top-selling sausage in all of your favorite grocery stores, and they can be found anywhere in the Arklatex area. Now, face-off will be off to the left of Colin Davis. That's McPherson getting kicked out of the face-off circle. That'll be Pankratz taking the face-off. Bugs able to win it, though. Now that's in front. Willie Tremblay tried to get a stick on and try to get a shot off. Nothing doing there. Jackalopes come back. McPherson going through, trying to find somebody. Nothing doing there. McPherson goes down. Nothing alert from either side. Now there's a scrum in the left-hand corner. Jackalopes able to come back up with it. There's some contact in front. There's some stick contact in front. Richards now getting battled on with by Jared Greiner. Pankratz comes in there. Richards trying to get it on. Nothing there. Mitchell Reed able to take it back. And now Jake Stock. Stock loses it in his skates, and it turns it over to Kukskowski. That shot was never able to get to the net as it was covered up. Or excuse me, rather, it was intercepted by the Bugs. Now that puck will get slapped down to the ice, but no icing called as Colin Davis comes out to play it. He passes it off to Brandon Catalano. Catalano sends it to Thomas. That goes down for, and actually that did not go down for an icing. That was a delay offside, and Brett Smith. Some words between Duke Earhart and Jack Ice-Perrance, and there will be an offsides call, looks like, or at least the face-off will come out to the face-off circle in front of the penalty boxes on the Bugs side, of course, the right-hand side if you're watching on NATV. It'll be Jasser in the face-off circle for the Bugs. Now Jack's able to win it. Esperance fires it into the zone of Tyler Hodges. Now Owen Case goes down. That'll be a penalty on the Jackalopes here, and looks like that'll be a penalty coming up. Jackalopes Bugs will go right on the Scott Powerline power play, and that penalty will be to number 26. The call will be, of course, tripping, says head official Young there. That penalty coming number 26, Michael Zajac. Like I said, Bugs will go on to the Scott Powerline power play. Face-off coming to the right side of Colin Davis here. Both goalies have stood on their head tonight, despite the scoreline. Carter McKay will take the face-off. Looks like against Jeremy Jacobs. We'll have to get a final confirmation on that. Face-off will be called, and that'll be a false start on the Bugs. Yes, false start on the Bugs, and Carter McKay will be kicked out, and taking the face-off will be Duke Earhart. And now face-off puck drop. Bugs able to gain possession on it, but not for long as the Jackalopes clear it down the length of the ice. Hodges now will leave it for a Bug. Let's find out who, and it'll be for Johnny Burnt. Johnny Burnt now. He's going to take it up. He's going to leave it off for Evan Hoagland. Hoagland now passes it over to Duke Earhart. Earhart up the left-hand side. He leaves it for Carter McKay. Carter McKay trying to find somebody in front. It will be recovered by Hoagland. McKay, and whistle was blown. Puck was shot late by Duke Earhart, and Odessa did not, and the Jackalopes rather, they did not like that. There's a whistle blown. I believe the call, at least from my vantage point, was offsides, and the face-off will come out to the face-off circle on the left hand of the penalty box side. Excuse me, it was not offsides. It was a hand pass. Apologize, folks. Hand pass was the call. This was the call there. Evan Hoagland will take the face-off against Jeremy Jacobs. Hoagland now and Jacobs, they step in. Bugs win the face-off. Burnt now. Going to hold it in their own zone. 1:25 left on this Scott Powerline power play, and that penalty assessed to number 26, Michael Zajac. Now Hoagland will take it up, and he passes it off to Sakrisky. Sakrisky gets rocked. We had an offside call, but Sakrisky got just bodied in front, but it'll be an offside call there. Tried to pass it up to Carter McKay, but nothing doing. It's an offside call. Faceoff now will come out in front of the Jackalopes zone. Excuse me, the Jackalopes bench and in front of the Jackalopes zone, I suppose. And now Jackalopes win the faceoff. 1:10 left in that minor to Zajac. Hodges will play it out and try to leave it for Dan Adams, but he got some contact there from a Jackalope. And now Jasser will pass it up for Mango. Mango with a goal in the night up the left-hand side. Mango holding it. Now he finds Evan Adams. Adams over to Stock. Stock sends it for Jasser. Now Adams. He was trying to shoot it there. Couldn't find anything he wanted. Now Adams back over to Stock. Stock over to Mango. Mango for Griner. He loses his feet, but able to regain control. Mango. Jasser in front, and his shot gets saved away, and eventually will be cleared down by the Jackalopes. Now Tyler Hodges will play it out. Apologize, folks. Remy Pusateri was down here causing some trouble, as he's one to do, but we move on. Evan Adams now takes the puck now for Jared Griner. Jared Griner up the left-hand side. That'll be for Jake Stock. He's able to get around a Jackalopes defenseman. Puck will go up in the air. Stock is able to come back down with it, and it'll be turned over, and Jackalopes will clear it back down 1, and that'll be the end of the Scott Powerline power play for the Bugs. Owen Case now is going to have it behind the net with the Bugs, and a quarterback to play here. Andre Parichka is on his right, and Lisa Liam Wolf-Talby, and Mitchell Reed on his left. He finds Wolf-Talby, and now he tries to find Mitchell Reed. The puck gets tipped by Percelli. Reed's able to fire it into the zone of Odessa. And now Davis. Davis leaves it for his man behind his own net. He's going to hold it, and hold it some more. Now he finally fires it off to Percelli. Simon's able to come up with the rebound, with the interception. Esperant's going to come away with it. And going to go back behind the net of Davis. No, they were not. He fired it off. Tried to fire it off to Loveland. Loveland now comes away with it. Matar. And that shot is fired in and saved by Tyler Hodges. Of course, like I mentioned, down to my right, some Mudbug healthy scratches on the night. You got Micah Adams, Gordon Guerrero, and of course, Remy Pusateri causing all sorts of trouble in every way. Of course, he can't hear me, and from what I've heard on the YouTube feed, and some other folks cannot, but hopefully that problem is fixed going forward. Nash shot goes fired and wide. Nash shot from Arlington. That gets up into the netting. 6:37 left here in the third period. Bugs 5, Jacks 5. Which goals coming, the multitude of goals coming in the second period. This is the third period. And speaking of the third period tonight is brought to you by our friends at Delta Utilities. Delta Utilities know what's below. Call 811 to locate buried utilities at least 2 days before digging for any project. That's Delta Utilities. Jackalopes able to come up with a face-off. Jihasi was able to come up with it, and he got some contact from Johnny Burnt and the Mudbugs. Jihasi gets a stick on it, and so does Arlington. Arlington back to Jihasi. Jihasi, they try to fire it in front. Nothing doing there. Carter McKay comes away with it, but not completely out of the Jacks zone, and they fire it into the right-hand corner here. Corbin Gefhardt's coming up with it. That's going to leave it off, and Johnny Burnt just left it aside. Jack still with possession. Now Gefhardt's going to be able to come up with it, and he tries to find Carter McKay, and he does. McKay, they're battling right here in the middle of the boards here. McKay, leave it for Gefhardt. Looks like Gabriel Lopez Corsi now on the ice for the Bugs. Lopez Corsi on his own net by accident and bounced off the post. Nothing wrong doing there, of course. And now Jackalopes will try to take advantage of that, and they cannot. That's a good thing, of course. Now, Mudbugs able to find and try to restart possession here, and they do. Johnny Burnt Finds Evan Hoagland. Hoagland up the left side. Hoagland, he's still in the zone. Hoagland fires shot. He scores! Evan Hoagland fires it right past Colin Davis. And that'll be a score of 6-5 in favor of your Shreveport Mudbugs. Like I said, folks, the healthy scratches down here are having a fun time. They're having a fun time here in Odessa. And I see some other Mudbug fans in the crowd tonight, at least from my vantage point. I see a Mudbugs jersey right across from me, right behind the Mudbugs bench. Now, faceoff will come back up, and it looks like it'll be Willie Tremblay taking the faceoff. Which you're just joining us, 5:25 left. That was an excellent goal by the Bugs there to take the lead here with 5:15 left in the second period. That goal, of course, coming from coming from Evan Adams. Jackalopes now able to get in the zone, but then they lose possession. Griner still with it, and his pass gets blocked in front by Travis Sajak. Sajak gets some contact from Mitchell Reed. Thomas holding, and he tries to find Lesperance, and does. Lesperance fires, and it just misses. He's able to get it, but it didn't go anywhere. And, of course, now that shot from an Odessa player, that gets covered up and saved up by Tyler Hodges. All right, folks, we're going to try to reset here and get mind off of the healthy scratches down below to my right. It'll probably be the last time I say that for the night. I'm sure somebody listening is like, shut up about the healthy scratches. I will. 4:49 left here in the third period. Mudbugs up 6-5, off the goal from Evan Adams. Faceoff will now come up to the left of Tyler Hodges. Bugs able to win that faceoff, and Burnt now finds it off for Owen Case. Now Duke Earhart, he's up on the left-hand side, trying to dump it in. That got blocked by number 24 for Odessa. Now Odessa tries to get it in the Bugs only do. Matar's able to get it in, but not for long. Jasper's able to take it back. He comes up the right-hand side. Now he is able to dump it into the Bugs zone. And it gets played off to the left-hand corner by Colleen Davis. Bugs intercepted. Earhart shot just goes high and left. Now Bugs trying to take advantage of it, but Jackalopes come up with it. Percelli on the right hand, and he dumps it in, and it'll be played off to the left-hand side of Tyler Hodges. Now Johnny Burnt trying to find Jonah Jasser. He did find him, but not fully. He's able to deflect it, so left for icing. Now Arrington, he dumps it in to the Bug zone. Now Thornton with a contact on it, trying to find puck, some form or fashion. Bugs now able to come away with it. Carter McKay for Liam Wolf-Talby, and he loses possession cleanly, but Evan Hoagland's able to recover. Wolf-Talby now able to get that puck. Colin Davis now able to get some contact on it and try to dump it out. Mudbugs able to keep it in. That shot gets fired. He scores! Carter McKay looked like it tipped in off the shot from Evan Adams. We'll get the full stat line, but Carter McKay is leading the charge. Carter McKay will get his goal, and he is the leading point scorer and the leading goal scorer, mind you, for these Bugs. 7-5 here with 3:37 left to go in the third period. Like I said, that shot from Adams, it looked like it went in on its own, but from what else I saw, Carter McKay was able just to tip it in enough to get the credit for it, and we'll find out the goal call here in a second. Excuse me, and by the way, an earlier mistake called. Evan Hoagland got that goal to make it 6-5, and Carter McKay will get the aforementioned 7th goal there. Once again, folks, 3:20 left here. Third period, Bugs lead 7-5 on a goal from Carter McKay, assisted by Evan Adams and Liam Wolf-Talby. Now Lesperance in the left-hand corner here, and Case now lost possession of the puck. And, of course, Kukskowski with a bit of a push and shove to Willie Tremblay. Willie Tremblay with a goal, of course, on the night. Tremblay now up the right-hand side. He's able to dump it in. Now Lesperance trying to clear it out of the zone, and he does. Kukskowski with a bit of body action there. Johnny Burnt now up the left-hand side. Burnt fires it in off. There a whistle? I did not hear a whistle unless I just got into my head, into my own head. Woo. All right. Restart this thing, folks. Puck now, face-off coming out to the left of Colin Davis. Now, Bugs able to try to get possession on it, and they are not able to. Jackalopes able to come up with it. It'll be Matar able to find it now, and then sends it over to Toms. Earhart able to get a stick on it. Mudbugs come away with it. Here comes Jonah Jasser on the right-hand side. Jasser, his shot gets blocked in front by Shea Berry. Now, puck will just trickle out of the Jackalope zone for the Bugs. Now that'll send it over to Mitchell Reed. Mitchell Reed tried to find Jonah Jasper. It bounced off his equipment there. Berry entered the zone, but lost possession quickly. Duke Earhart. Earhart up the left-hand side, and he fires it into the right-hand corner of the Odessa Jackalopes. There's now Toms. Toms now, he tries to fire it in, and it will just deflect off the stick of Arrington. Jihasi trying to find somebody in front, and he's able to find Adams, and it just trickles out of the Mudbug zone. It's a good thing. It's a good thing there. 1:40 left here in the third period. Bugs 7, Jackalopes 5, and it's turned over in front, and a stick broken by Johnny Burnt. Johnny Burnt's now out there with a stick. Stick grabbed by Billy T. Welker. It's just holding it, waiting for the momentarily play to be stopped. Now there's a scrum in front, and it'll be covered up by Tyler Hodges as it was able to just get trickled in. There's a moment just there where he just left the puck there, waiting, covered it up. Now Johnny Burnt will go back over to the Mudbugs bench and get a stick from who else? Billy T. Welker, Mudbugs head equipment manager, of course, and he'll just hop on the bench. Hop on the bench here. 1:23 left to go here in the third period, and be a timeout called by the Jackalopes. 1:23 left here. Scott Durr wanting to call a timeout with 1:23 left here. Bugs fans, we thank you for tuning in tonight, and from me, I would like to thank each and every one of you who have tuned in, whether on NATV or the Mudbugs Audio Network, for tuning into my weekend initial broadcast. Thank you once again, and of course a big thank you to all parties involved, including Chet Yoder, Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket, and Mudbugs owner Tommy Scott. Of course, next time we come to you will be in 2 weeks' time inside George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum. Game number 1, Loma Warriors of the weekend series against them will be the Boots and Bugs weekend, unless I got the name reversed on that. Either way, come out, Western-themed gear, fun all around. And then, of course, next game will be a special 2 p.m. start time. It'll be the fair game. Of course, the State Fair Louisiana going on while we're here in Odessa, Texas. Bugs up to their feet now. Face-off will come out to the left of Tyler Hodges. The net is empty for Odessa, and Odessa has pulled Colin Davis. They have 6 men out. Bugs able to win the face-off now. Evan Adams put this thing to bed by a score of 8-5 so far, and looks like Remy Pusateri signaling for the hat trick there. Of course, I don't see any hats being thrown right now, and all I see right now is some ejected Jackalopes fans walking out the door. Of course, like I mentioned, that was an empty net goal coming from Jonah Jasser, who shot it right from the board, right in front of us. Be Jonah Jasser's 3rd goal of the night. Now it'll be a hat trick. So thank you to Remy Pusateri for helping me get that situated. Luckily, that's his last contribution for this broadcast. Faceoff will now come back out to the neutral zone. Bugs now leave it. Tyler Hodges leaves it for Corbin Geffhart. Odessa now still with it. Berry now, and it gets tipped, and it gets up in the air in front. And that back is empty. Scott Durr has pulled his goalie once again. 6 men out. Now Catalano trying to find a shot in front. Nothing doing there. McPherson now trying to take it away. Geffhart, he bounces it off. Puck still in the Jackalope zone now. Bucks come away with it. Andre Parichka on it, and it's in. Andre Parichka. And folks, there'll be no bug boil here tonight in Odessa. Bug boil here tonight in Odessa. Andre Parichka puts it in, and just with a icing on the cake. Hopefully that icing is from Louder's Baking Company, proud corporate partner of Shreveport Mudbugs hockey. Final score, at least the hope is to be 9-5. Got a little ahead of myself. Apologies there. Hopefully that'll be the last apology on the night. Willie Tremblay will take the face-off against Percelli there. And he wins the face-off clean. Tremblay, that'll go into the glove of Colin Davis. Looked like he was going to release it, but nothing doing there. 28.48 seconds left here in the Ector County Coliseum in this game between the Bugs and the Jackalopes. Yeah. Looking like the Bugs will bring back a tasty dub to the State Fair, Louisiana, of course, to the Shreveport area. Tremblay now going to take the face-off. The right of Colin Davis. Now, Thornton's able to come up with it. They try to get it in zone and false start? No. And Tremblay went down, and there was some words exchanged, and looks like Percelli will just head off for the night. Just head off for the night, and I think the refs are just ready to go home here, folks. But 25 seconds left here in this contest. Bugs 9, Jacks 5. Face-off will now come out to the face-off circle in front of us on the left-hand side. Of course, Willie Tremblay will take that face-off. And on that Parichka goal, there's assist from Jason Simons and Ty Easton. And Percelli will go into the box for, or rather, will be ejected for fighting. That'll be it for Percelli, and puck gets fired into the right-hand corner. Tries to find it here. Just almost hear a pin drop here in the Ector County Coliseum. Well, unless you're the Shreveport Mudbugs, of course. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that's the game, fans. Your final score, your Shreveport Mudbugs 9, the Odessa Jackalopes 5. An excellent rebound to this weekend against the Jackalopes. 3 out of 4 points secured for your Bugs, and we'll be heading back home to Louisiana with the tasty dub and well-deserved break. Well-deserved break, not only on their part, but also on the part of, well, all the staff members and much more. When we come back, it'll be the start of the Nicky's Mexican Restaurant post-game show. Nicky's Mexican Restaurant. Don't drink the water. Try our margaritas today. Final score here from the Ector County Coliseum in Odessa, Texas. Mudbugs 9, Jackalopes 5. You're listening to Shreveport Mudbugs Hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network.
Hey, this is Chet Yoder, voice of the Mudbugs. DeFada and Associates Investigative and Risk Analysis Services has been conducting professional private investigations for over 20 years. They offer a full range of services to both individuals and businesses. Whether you need an investigator for a personal matter like a child custody case or you suspect an internal theft problem with your business, DeFada and Associates has the experience, training, and knowledge to get you the information you need. Call Jerry today at 318-635-9944 to talk about your case or visit them online at defadapi.com.
Sterling Dental Center is a proud partner of the Shreveport Mudbugs. I'm Dr. Emil Janu, and my experienced staff and I will handle all your dental needs, from routine cleanings, x-rays, cavities, toothaches, and more, with the best and safest treatment out there. We are a family here at Sterling Dental Center, and we treat our patients like family. We welcome many forms of insurance. Come get your next dental appointment at Sterling Dental Center in Shreveport by calling 318-688-1040 or logging on to sterlingdentalshreveport.com.
For those that have fallen, I say get up. For those that are asleep, I say wake up. For those that are seated, I say rise. It is time. The world needs what we possess. The only hope for a dark world is the light of Jesus Christ. Let your light so shine.
Thank you for tuning in to this Word of God Ministries message.
Welcome back inside the Ector County Coliseum. Bugs win by a final score of 9-5, and it's now time for the Nicky's Mexican Restaurant post-game show. Nicky's Mexican Restaurant. Don't drink the water. Try our margaritas today. And coming in right as we went to break from Chet Yoder, voice of the Mudbugs. 9 goals is tied a franchise record in Bugs junior hockey history. I say Bugs junior, meaning the Mudbugs in North American Hockey League action. So, 9 goals on the night, and let's tell you how we got there. Of course, this is part of the Nicky's Mexican Restaurant post-game show, and now we're going to recap how we all got there. First goal. Firstly, we start off with goals coming 3 minutes apart. Of course, Joseph Samango found his first goal of the night, coming from Jonah Jasser and Duke Earhart at 13:10 in the first period. And then at 10:46, Jonah Jasser from Gabriel Lopez Corsi and Evan Adams there and making it 2-0 Bugs. That would be Jasser's one of 3 goals on the night. Moving along here for the Jackalopes, they found a response in Caden G. Hossie on an unassisted goal, and then Henry Thornton on an unassisted goal at 07:18. That'd be 7:18 for those who didn't want it fanatically. You get the idea. Moving along here, Daniel Kukskowski then made it 3-2 at 17:24 in the second period from Austin Lamer and Gabe Pankratz. And then Jonah Jasser found his second goal of the night from Liam Wolf-Talby with his second assist of the night. And then almost immediately, 13 seconds right after the Jasser goal, Odessa found a response from Melker Loveland and made in that goal. And that assist came from Shane Berry and Nicholas Percelli. And then right after that, the Bugs found 2 goals from Jason Simons. Of course, the assist on that came from Liam Wolf-Talby and Andre Parichka. And then that second goal, as mentioned, came from Willie Alexis Tremblay, full name being William Alexis Tremblay. Moving along here, and then Jack Lesperance at 1:54 in the second period found the goal there. And then the third period, a onslaught of Mudbug goals. Firstly coming from Evan Hoagland at 5:27, then from Carter McKay, and then, of course, Evan Adams and Liam Wolf-Talby on the assist. Jonah Jasser then getting his hat trick for the empty netter. And then Andre Parichka at 38 seconds sealed the deal pretty much, put the icing on the cake. Of course, that icing hopefully is from Louder's Baking Company. Louder is a proud corporate partner of Shreveport Mudbugs hockey. And then the penalties. Woo! Like I mentioned, very chippy amongst things. Mudbugs did get a roughing minor, 13-10 in the first period. And then Caden G. Hossie, 3 seconds later, also got a roughing minor. Duke Earhart then got a roughing minor of his own at 6:27, along with Daniel Kukskowski, also got a roughing minor there. And then at 4:42 in the first period, Nicholas Percelli got a roughing minor, and Percelli actually would get ejected from the game towards the dying seconds there. Gabe Pankratz then in the second period got a boarding minor, followed by then at 14:05, Luke McPherson with a double minor for high sticking, and then followed by Joe Samango at 2:48 in the second period with a high sticking minor of his own, and then Evan Adams getting a cross-checking minor at 1:36 in the second. Bugs would go down on a 5-on-3 first choice personnel penalty kill there, and they were able to clear it. That is the good thing. Soupy mentioned to me in our pregame conversation that the penalty kill was one of the main things he took away from last night's game, and it shined tonight. Penalty kill was fantastic from my vantage point. Moving on here, in the last 2 penalties, of course, we're both on Odessa and the Jackalopes. Michael Zajac with a tripping minor at 9:37, and then with 27 seconds, Nicholas Percelli would get the door and head to the showers. Of course, the final shots on goal tally would be 31-28 in favor of the Jackalopes, and of course, for that period, it would be 9-8 total shots in favor of the Jackalopes. And I find interesting, and this may or may not be in the accurate mindset. I could be wrong. Jackalopes had 24 penalty minutes on the night, and the Bugs had 10. Actually, after counting them up, actually, I would agree with that. But I digress. We move along here. So, Bugs are able to get their first win in quite a minute, and they will move to 6-7-2-2, while the Jackalopes will fall to 6-4-4-1. Of course, that's win, loss, overtime loss, and then shootout loss. But I digress. Of course, my 3 stars of the night. Actually, before we get to that, I apologize. Let's get into the goalies. The most important part of this weekend series. Tyler Hodges stopping 26 of 31 shots. And, of course, Colin Davis stopping 17 of 26. Of course, those other two were empty net goals there. So that about wraps it up for the player stats of things. We're going to do some 3 stars, and we're going to tell you some scores going on around the world of sports and around the North American Hockey League firstly. And then we'll say goodnight from deep in the heart of Texas. But let's get into that first. Of course, my first star of the game is none other than number 15, Jonah Jasser. 3 goals on the night and an assist for Jasser there. My second star of the night would be Liam Wolf Talby with 3 assists on the night for Wolfie there, for the Wolfman, as he was once called on a team, which I found interesting. Wolfman being, in my opinion, the only Wolfman I know is, of course, Wolfman movies, but also Wolfman Jack. Bit of a deep cut there. And, of course, my third star on the night would have to be Tyler Hodges. And honestly, Tyler Hodges on the weekend was honestly spectacular. But third star for the night on that. So to recap, Jasser, Wolf Tully, and then Tyler Hodges for your 3 stars of the night, at least coming from me. But that's neither here or there. Now we're going to take some final looks at scores going around the North American Hockey League and the world of sports. Not too many in the world of sports, of course. I know everybody wants to get to bed. For those who are still listening here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network, thank you once again. So, of course, here in Shreveport, Mudbugs win by a final score of 9-7. And then some final scores earlier on in the day. The Black Bears defeated the Danbury Hat-Tricks. The Generals defeated the Titans by a score of 7-2. The Elmira Aviators defeated the New Hampshire Mountain Kings 4-3. The Rochester Junior Americans defeated the Philadelphia Rebels 4-3. The Springfield Junior Blues, of course, defeated the Wisconsin Wendigo. And some games still going on, actually. Johnstown and Maine went to a shootout. No reported score there. And then Minot Minotauros, they lead St. Condorsman 3-2 with $1:20 left to go in the third period there. The Mallards of Minnesota have defeated the North Iowa Bulls by a score of 6-4. The Austin Bruins defeated the Watertown Shamrocks by a score of 4-1. The New Mexico Ice Wolves, they currently trail the Oklahoma Warriors with 19:35 left in the third there. The Wranglers of Amarillo, they lead the El Paso Rhinos by a score of 1-0 in the end of the second period. The Aberdeen Wings and Bismarck Bobcats are tied all at 1. The Minnesota Wilderness and Janesville Jets are tied, the Wilderness lead the Janesville Jets by a score of 4-1 at the end of the second period. Now, let's take a look at those scores from the rest of the sporting world. In the bottom of the 5th inning, the Blue Jays of Toronto, they lead the Los Angeles Dodgers by a score of 3-1. And some NHL action scores, some games just getting ready to get underway. But, of course, the Capitals of Buffalo, they're still in a shootout. Toronto leads the Flyers 4-2, and the Devils, they lead the Kings by a score of 1-0. And in college football, just some noteworthy scores here. The NC State Wolfpack, they are currently leading the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech by a score of 31-23. The Wolverines lead Purdue 21-16. Oklahoma, they lead number 14, Tennessee, by a score of 16-10. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, they lead the Trojans of USC by a score of 14-6. And in some NBA action news, just one score and really a noteworthy score, at least in my opinion. The Magic defeated the Wizards and the Kings defeated the Bucks. Of course, that first score being 125-94 in favor of the Orlando Magic, and the Kings of Sacramento defeating the Bucks 135-133, and the Pacers defeating the Warriors by a score of 114-109. All right. I think that about wraps it up for the Shreveport Mudbugs hockey broadcast from here in Odessa. Of course, your final score, Mudbugs 9, Jackalopes 7. Once again, I would like to give a big thank you to Chet Yoder for allowing me to fill in his position this weekend, and hopefully I'll be able to come back to you more throughout the season. I've had fun doing it, I'll tell you what, and despite the litany of technical issues in terms of an actual technical standpoint, but as well as some apologies being labeled, I still had fun doing this, and hopefully I will get to do it more in the future of this season. Of course, I'd like to also give a big thank you to Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket and Mudbugs owner Tommy Scott for allowing me to do this. It was their final call that allowed me to be behind the microphone tonight for you all here in Odessa. And, of course, a big thank you to everyone for tuning in to tonight's Shreveport Mudbugs hockey broadcast on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network on YouTube. Of course, Mudbugs Hockey Network is a term I came up with over the weekend to kind of bring it all together, you know. But I digress. So we're going to wrap things up here from Odessa. Once again, fans, your final score, the Mudbugs 9, the Jackalopes 7. You've been listening to Shreveport Mudbugs hockey here on NATV and the Mudbugs Audio Network. We thank you once again for tuning in. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, claws up and go Bugs. We'll see you next time.